Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar
Welcome to the party.
and Simon.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. My name is Simon.
That's so needless. What we do here is very simple. The three of us have listened to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. This week, we're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first, Kamar, Desperate December is almost over. Did we even get a piercing?
Happy New Year! No, I think we came up 3 short, but like and
How's that
subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Leave a comment. Tickle the algorithm. Join the Patreon. This week, a big shout out to Joey M.
Joey!
What up, Joey?
Kept the fight alive, but as we are recording this,
But you're gonna pierce your ears anyways, right?
we could see some piercings, but no,
He wanted to, so.
something could happen tonight or tomorrow. And technically, they would have made it in. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is a new year. Happy New Year, boys. Yeah, join the Patreon.
2024.
Hit the like button, notifications, leave a comment.
That was hard for you, eh?
Well, I just want to make sure it's unheard and understood. But thank you, everyone.
Unheard and understood.
All the
That makes the
Patreons.
most sense. Kamar, how was your week, sir?
Well, it was a good week. We did family karaoke.
At the house?
No.
You guys went
My
out?
sister runs a bar and she just shut it down and we just met there, which is a great idea for if you have a venue like that.
So the wine bar.
The wine bar, yeah. And, instead of going to one person's house and feeling like you're imposing on them or people imposing on you.
It really worked out well.
And karaoke is such a fun thing to do when everyone sings along. It wasn't very organized as far as I'm concerned, but
I like the idea of Kamar sitting at family karaoke, a little bit disappointed. He's like, I wish this was a little bit better organized personally, but
well, no, we're trying to do karaoke, and my sister got like a speaker and a microphone.
yeah.
No screen, no playlist.
Yeah.
So you have to get that from somewhere else, and you can play that through. So you either got to go through and find instrumentals, or someone just put on Spotify. Then people just sing whatever song came up next. It was sort of a weird free for all.
So
Whereas
it really wasn't karaoke.
thank you very much, and that's why I was
just family
a
singing.
sourpuss in the
Yeah.
corner, but executed properly. I mean, you can hear it in my voice.
What did
Kamar
you,
heard karaoke and he was like, I have George Michael's Faith ready to go. And then he gets there and they don't have it queued up and he's
no
little bit
smoke
salty.
machine? What did you
no lights.
sing there?
Oh, I got on
Montel Jordan, this is how we do it.
I know I got on. Me and my sister did. I had the time of my life. It's a good one.
From
Dirty Dancing. Everyone wants.
It's a love song.
Yeah,
That's so fucking weird.
Me and my sister got up and did Rock the Casbah.
Did you guys
Lambada.
Yeah, did you guys French afterwards? Like what the fuck is going
The only
on?
thing you do is
Did she run at you and you lift her up in the air and scream, nobody puts baby in the corner?
Yes, we did all that. Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Okay, there you go.
Fuck, you're old.
All you need is love. That
These
was a
just
good one to
came
get there.
on. He didn't get to pick,
Yeah,
I assume.
I picked a couple, but
I would have thought like brown paper bag, something Lil Wayne in there somewhere just to throw
No,
a
that
French-
wouldn't have worked.
that
for
would
us.
have
Like,
ruined family.
read the room, Matt. Jesus Christ.
I would have loved to do that, but no, that was not. I mean, the best song is a song depicted. Everyone knows the words loosely.
Bohemian
So everyone will
Rhapsody.
Sing along. Yeah, that would be a
Total
good
Eclipse of the Heart. That's the fucking winner at any karaoke.
one. No, but that's for someone to showboat.
It's just
There's
really
ones that are a little
long.
more,
That's the problem.
50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. That's a great fucking karaoke song.
Really?
Hop on
Again,
the back, Jack.
It's a show off.
listen,
It's a
Make a
show
new
off.
plan.
I like
Stan.
Paul Simon.
You don't need to
I'm
be
just-
coy, Roy.
Never thought
just
of
listen
that
to
for
me.
Karaoke.
Hop on the bus, Gus.
Gus.
You don't need to discuss much.
Anyways, that's the best
Get
you can
there,
do.
Matt.
Instead of sitting around like, so what,
Yeah, no, yeah.
what's going on in the new year? You know?
No, that is, an activity is always better.
Yeah,
It
anything
is.
to distract having to talk to your family.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I did a show on Wednesday, which was great because it was, people who are cooped up in their house for the holidays. It was amazing energy. The room was sold out. I crushed.
You crushed.
I was just screaming, Happy New Year, because it was my last set of the year.
And you are the funniest man in Ottawa.
I was the funniest man in all
Oh,
of that
no,
night.
you won't be for the next year, right?
Well, apparently it works.
It's a very short
Yeah,
stint.
yeah. Well, once December 31st hits, he's no longer.
That's how
the-
I felt, but
yeah.
I guess it carries on to August. So.
Yeah, no. It's
No, I think you get it until someone else gets it.
It's a
Yeah,
calendar
you get it for
year.
1 year.
You're
Yeah,
fine,
I
you're
agree,
fine.
yeah.
Don't be
I
silly.
can go drink
Don't
out of the
sell
cup
yourself.
whenever I
Yeah,
want.
exactly. Yeah. Simon, how was your week, sir?
My week was fine, I think. I don't really remember.
Simon's been watching probably more basketball in the last 2 weeks than I created a monster.
Oh, yeah.
But you do love basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what sport I want to watch, so makes sense.
And once you make it a little more tantalizing.
Yeah, and it's just
It's fun though because anytime I would text Simon in the last 2 years, you'd get an emoji that's him trying to say like heard but don't text back kind of thing.
it's not true.
But now, I'll text him during the game and I'll be like, fucking Scotty. And you'll actually get 4 responses from Simon. Where he's like, this prick, I can't believe he
Oh,
can't
it's
hit
putting you
threes.
guys together.
Yeah.
Can't
They
believe it.
stink. They stink.
But you guys just don't bet on one game.
No, we're betting on player
Exactly. We're
performances.
doing props, yeah.
So it doesn't even matter if they win or lose. Like it matters, but it doesn't matter.
And no,
for my
Simon only does
ticket.
one game. He only does Raptors games. He only bets.
No,
I've been,
I'm saying-
I've been going into some other stuff.
Keep an eye. Just bet on Philadelphia to beat Houston.
No, none
No,
of that.
none
no.
of that at all.
Yeah.
Because who fucking knows?
Yeah, basketball is fun. Dude, again, Detroit,
Really?
Detroit, Boston spread was 16.5. And they went to overtime.
Well, no, the spread is the craziest thing ever because, sorry, people who hate sports.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
not.
the
I don't
worst.
care.
But Cleveland against New York
Yeah.
was 58 points. The final score was 51 points. All the scores were in the first half.
Yeah, it's tough.
There was another score for the rest of the game.
Oh, yeah. Simon and I know what that's about.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
How did they get that number so close? It's like the horoscope.
Kamar, do you know what it's like when you have a guy over 2.5 assists and he gets 2 assists in the first quarter and you're cracking your fingers, you're laying back because you're like, I got 3 quarters for this jerk off to get 1 fucking assist. And you're thinking, if I'm out there, I can get an assist. And then he goes 3 quarters doing sweet fuck all. And like you said, you're like, how does Vegas fucking know?
How do they know?
Simon, that was your week. That's it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I had other things, but I'll remember them later in the show, and then I'll just interject them as
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds about
Yeah,
right. right?
Yeah. Or the post show, one or the other.
Yeah, that's a long time to wait, and nobody really listens. So I like to get my info
Yeah,
out
yeah,
in the
that's
normal
true.
show.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything of any substance.
I like to get my message out to 200 people and not 100.
not 2 people. Yeah, no. I
Save your brilliance for the masses.
Yeah.
How's your week, Matt?
I don't have anything to report. It's funny you mentioned that that you had such a good show Wednesday because just before, well, I guess it was like 3 weeks ago, trivia was banging, popping. I was having a great time. Then the last 2 weeks, it's like people show up, low energy, just read the questions and that's it, buddy. Like real downer, real downer.
Oh, it went the other way.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're having, just call in your hype man. I will fucking. We can make this happen.
This guy knows how to tell a question.
Like, dude, I had one at 10 Toes on a Friday. Graham was there. He owns the place. And like, he was like, dude, this is incredible. Like, I even said to him, I was like, that was the best one I've ever done.
It's
like,
a vibe.
Oh, it was a vibe. I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like, and then I come back the next week and there's like 8 people there. Like, hello. I was like, yeah, real bitch.
Well, that's the key to any promoter, right?
No, I think it was just because everyone told me they were like, we're all out of town. So it is what it is.
Holidays.
Yeah.
But you want to be turning people away.
Yes, that's what
Line
you
up
want.
around the
yes. And normally we are turning people away. Anyway, Kamar, you want to go over the guest list so we can do what we normally do here?
Oh, yeah. We start off the week with no hijinks, 2078 Duncan Trussell.
No hijinks, like nobody dressed up. Is that
Nobody
what
dressed up. First time ever.
No, that's the name of their new podcast. Instead of No Jumper, it's No Hijinks, featuring Joe and Duncan.
Followed by 2079, Brigham Bueller.
I think it's Brigham. I don't know why you say it. You say it like Americans say Montreal.
Brigham Bueller.
Brigham.
Talking about insurance.
Asshole.
2080, the Bone Man, John Reeves, who I got questions.
The boner. That's
I
what he
got
wants
questions.
to be called. Yeah. I'll have to write this down for Bone Man.
How aggressive he is for no reason.
Well, that.
Gonna take care of that shit.
It's like, dude, he's so pissed about having this land with bones. Like,
Yeah.
chill the fuck out, bro.
I got a couple of theories.
Fuck.
He's like, why do you want the bones back? You have way more bones than they ever took. They're mine.
My favorite
But
too.
are they?
Well, my favorite too is he's like,
we can't do this.
they lied to me, and Joe's like, what do you mean your company? And he's like, yeah, the company I bought. They lied to them a bunch of years ago. You know what I mean? It's like,
That's where I have a.
It's not even his fight.
yeah. Like it would be like if,
we just reviewed an episode.
it's like if someone fucked over the guy who originally owned Tesla, and Elon Musk just held a grudge against that guy for, you know what I mean?
I want to.
I give it a 3.
I didn't even get to say my opinion.
What do you give the week though? That's a good question. Brian, he just, you can tell. I gotta say this. I think that this thing is officially just a money-making job for Joe. Like, I think all the nostalgia, it's all kind of it's gone.
The Joe Rogan Experience is now just a job,
Yeah,
going through the motions.
yeah,
because of Brian.
yeah. I think because again, he didn't mention the anniversary. He
Oh,
didn't
you're being
celebrate it in any.
sentimental.
Well, I'm just listen. You built this empire, and it started on Christmas Day on a whim. And the fact that you didn't mention, I don't know, it's weird.
Well, Brian had just been on not very long ago. Like,
And that episode still may come out this week.
no, I mean, I agree with Matt to the fact that this is just a money making operation for Joe. I think he proved that a long time ago when he's like, more interested in having insurance salesmen on than filling people's ears with any substance.
I think too, it's like, this is a weird analogy, but it's kind of like Jokic, where like Joe liked podcasting. He was so into it. He started it. He did it all. He's had everyone on that he wants to speak to. And now he's on to the next thing, which is the mothership. It's like Jokic and his horses. You know what I mean? Like he does this and he's great at this and he has to keep doing this because it brings in this money and he's an MVP, first ballot Hall of Famer. But he doesn't love it anymore. He's not in it for the game anymore.
But we know he takes time off and goes stretches without doing it.
Yeah, well, he goes on
He
vacation.
would have moments to be like, you know what? I don't want to do the podcast anymore.
But how could
It's
you?
not a case of him
You
being.
can't turn away from that cash. That's the
How
thing.
could you? Yeah, like I listen.
For doing so little too. Like he even said it. It's the three of us. Like him
for
and
what we do for so little.
Yeah, think about that's precisely
Us?
it. Like, yeah,
Just in your life, what you do
Oh, yeah.
to keep your family
Yeah,
intact
yeah.
and your life
Yeah,
going.
yeah. You work every day
If
for
you do
point
what you're
zero
doing,
zero
you're
zero
making
one of what
millions
that
of
guy
dollars.
makes in a week.
You might find what you do just not a horrible existence.
no, but I realized a while ago why I'm broke, and it's because like I have a mentality of like Joe's got enough money. Why does he still have to do this? And it's like, yeah, but if you can keep making all that money, you should do so. Like,
But aren't you afraid that once you get successful, you'll be too busy to enjoy it?
no. Also, that's the thing. Like,
Fear of success.
it's like Rob Dyrdek. Like if you can just go to your fun factory every day and get paid $50,000, like why wouldn't you do that? And that's what Joe's built, his own little fucking fun factory.
We have to be like Aiden Ross, who I think is a billionaire.
I don't think that kid's a billionaire.
I
No,
think he's very close.
no fucking way.
Unfortunately, I think he's very
Google
close.
his right now. We're gonna rate the week, Simon and I, and you're gonna Google his net worth, and there's no fucking way that Google is gonna say anything close to $1 billion.
I think maybe everything Joe did was because he wanted relevancy in the comedy world. After Fear Factor, he was like, is he even a comedian? Then he does the podcast. He becomes the Johnny Carson for all these people.
But that was an accident.
And he needs no. I'm telling you why
Okay,
he
sorry,
sticks
yeah.
with it. And then he needs that because that's what keeps him relevant with the kids, with the kid comedians. I mean, everybody coming up in the world. But now that he has the mothership, which is even more important to that, he doesn't need this so much. He's always relevant. I don't know. It would just be an easier.
I also think he's human, and like you and me, like if you do something for 13 years, you can burn out, or you can just find something new that piques your interest, right? Where you're like, oh, like it's, you know, if you have unlimited money too, you can easily pick up new hobbies, or oh, I bought a comedy club.
Well, he's afraid to start golf. Like,
Yeah, well, he's weird with that.
anyways,
Wow, I think he knows.
that he'd become addicted. to it.
Everyone does.
Yeah, and it's outdoors. He loves outdoors.
And you have the means, and then he put together it's bow hunting and golfing is so different. The target, oh, it'd be all over.
Someone should just figure out a golf course that's like filled with elk where you can do both. So like Joe could be out there.
You hit arrows.
He hits a drive and then he kill. Yeah, on the 18th you get to kill a fucking from 200
You
yards out.
drive with a bow. That's the perfect
Oh, that'd be incredible.
merge, yeah.
Did you guys rate the week?
No, not yet. I'll give it well, I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 3.
I'll also give it a 2.8.
I'm going to give it a 3.5. Raiden Ross is only worth 40 million,
I mean, that's close to $1 billion.
but I think there's deals in the mix. I think he has that in liquid cash.
Shut the fuck up.
Liquid mercury.
I like
That's
how
all
he
has
said too.
all
He's
in-
I'm
worth
not pulling for him.
He's worth 40 million, but he's got some deals in the works that are gonna get him to that $1 billion. Like, what are you fucking nuts? Kamara, $1 billion is so much money.
I know, but guys are figuring out how to get there.
The guys that are figuring out how to get there are like the Nelk boys who are investing heavily in either their own company or actually investing.
And a lot of the people you hear about getting there are guys like Kanye, who you saw. That wasn't really his $1 billion or $4 billion. It was tied up in business deals that when they stop, so does the money.
I just think he's part of that Kick Twitch world, which is a whole nother realm that we're just not privy to.
Yeah, but again, I think you're inflating how much they make.
I think it's just the top guys. Top guys get big deals.
No, they
like
do.
Cash. Like, remember Ninja got something like,
Got 20 million,
that was way back when.
and he only had to work for 3 months, and then the company went under. So he kept that 20 million.
That goes as another one of these stories, of the money that gets thrown around after
Yeah.
startups and .coms.
Did you watch that latest CoffeeZilla?
No, I can't stand him. It's a case of, have you seen Tim Pool's newest music video?
No.
What do you mean Tim Pool's music video?
Exactly. That's all I have to say. And it's like, he's so coney. Like I've courted the realm on news, and I just lose my mind, and I make videos, and I want to get to the top of Billboard.
But that's not what CoffeeZilla is.
No, but he's in love with himself. Sitting at the bar with the alien, drinking the coffee.
It's his shtick.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, that's fine.
I do find that a bit cheesy.
It's cheesy.
My problem is his kind of nervous forced laugh that he does sometimes.
The whole package, the information he's putting forth, positive. It seems like it's good.
No,
research.
you don't like the information because usually you've been had by
I don't
whoever's
mind the
on there.
information. I don't like the delivery.
Okay, fair enough.
Like Kamar owns all these like crypto zoos and then
Exactly.
finds out that it's really a
I
scam and
might
he
be
knows
that
he's
guy, but
never
no.
gonna see his
Yeah.
money. Fucking CoffeeZilla.
He
Burst
seems
in my
legit. I
bubble.
just don't like the way he's doing it.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
That's my
I don't
problem.
like the robot either, but it is what it is.
And before we jump in, the first topic of the post show will be parkour. How do you guys feel about parkour?
Well, they'll find out if they tune into the
Well,
post show.
yeah.
Nice little
Anyways, the whole
cliffhanger.
reason
that's how you do content.
The whole
folks.
reason I brought up CoffeeZilla before you interrupted and derailed what I was trying to say was it was all about a t-shirt type place that makes apparel and merch for people,
Drop shipping?
that type of thing, and they were doing business with like Mr. Beast and promising him big numbers no matter what, and then they were milking one to pay another. It was real.
You also forget about the weird
shady
rape
shit.
allegations
Oh
throughout
yeah,
the
there
thing.
were a lot of rape
It's fucking
allegations.
weird.
A lot of taking boys into bathrooms and whatnot.
Mr. Beast?
No.
this guy who owned Rocket.
Again, I think it was called Prestige. You kept calling it
Allegedly.
Rocket.
I think it's called Rocket Apparel or something.
All right, let's fire it up. Duncan Trussell. I'm going to say 1794.
Oh, you're not even close.
No, it's 2194.
2078. Duncan Trussell.
Like I said, not
120
even
over.
close.
120. First, I was 300 under.
Wasn't even the right numbers. There was nothing right about it.
You're going to be right once.
No, probably not.
So this starts off with frustration about the UFO disclosure.
Who are we talking about?
Duncan.
Duncan Trussell?
This fucking guy.
Yeah, they started off talking about frustration UFO disclosure, and if anything we know, anything we're being leaked is propaganda.
Everything that is being leaked is propaganda.
And you know that for sure?
Well, it always has been until
That's a good point.
At
That's a
this
strong point.
there's a crack in the works, and they let it out. I mean, the only thing I'll say in defense of UAVs or UAPs, whatever they are now, is that Malaysian plane, unless that's also a cover up. But if that thing could just be lost and never found, anything could be happening.
Just out of curiosity, then, so you also believe that who are the two big whistleblowers there?
Grush.
No, not UFO.
Oh,
Julian
Snowden
Assange and Assange. Those guys are also. That's just propaganda, because it's the same thing, right? Like you can't necessarily say 100% that David Grush is an actual whistleblower.
With the Julian Assange example, if he got information that he thought was real or was leaked information on purpose,
I think the difference is this.
why he could be a victim of spreading propaganda.
Yeah. So do you believe that? Is that you think that's the case? Because you seem pretty convinced that that's the case for Grush.
I think what Kamar's saying is this. If Grush had come out with a ton of redacted or just straight up unredacted top secret, like that's the difference, is that Snowden had straight up.
Right. Because one of them's doing it legally through the.
Yeah, because he's trying to go through this.
Well, because
slalom-
there's new legislation now
I understand.
for whistleblowers, right?
Yeah. But I think the difference there is that those guys just came out and said, here's so much information all in one block. I can't ever come back here. They released it and we found out definitively that, like
Yeah.
in Snowden's case, we found out for sure the NSA was spying on us, listening to every phone call, every email, that sort of thing. That's all I'm saying.
And I really feel like for the first time in my life, CIA guys don't ever talk about being in the CIA. Like there are no Mike Bakers or the guy, the Afro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on a UFO hunting show. Right?
Bustamante.
Like
What's your point, though?
they are, if they were in the CIA, they have to be some sort of plant
Yeah. Okay.
just to spread disinformation.
Look, I'm not going to argue with that. That's totally possible.
Here's the problem is you would never assume, like it's very odd to be like, so we have this super secretive branch of the government over here, and we don't talk about it. And when they die, we don't even put their picture on the wall. They just get a star, no names, no mention. But when you retire, you can go on a podcast tour, you can write books. Like it's all very odd to me.
Are you agreeing with me?
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so too. Like
He's he's not used to it.
Is this what agreement feels?
if Mr. Beast,
We have an agreement.
Mark Rober, you know who he is.
Yeah,
who that is.
yeah, you
He's
do.
a super science guy.
The
He's,
squirrel maze guy. You've definitely seen his YouTube videos. Anyway,
if him, Mr. Beast, the slow mo guys,
Yeah.
if they all put all their resources together and had release some UFO evidence, that'd be really awesome. And I would trust them to be able to do it before NASA or the U.S. military.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think anybody's depending on either of those people to release it. The only reason we know about Grush is because he decided to go against those people, right?
But if this is just being put out as a distraction,
Yeah. So then you think that also like George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, they're just both plants also. It's
they might not be
impossible
plants.
that
They might
there's,
just
like-
be chasing. And all this to say, it doesn't mean there aren't aliens who have come from different dimensions. But say whatever information is being leaked to us is
I mean, Simon, if you think about it, the whole idea of disinformation is you would want a legitimate journalist to follow the trail for 20 years. That gives it so much more legitimacy.
I'm not saying that it's impossible.
Yeah.
I just don't know if necessarily. Look, you can't just group everybody together. There are still people out there who are trying to break news that has nothing to do with the government. You know
of course.
what I mean?
No, but I think the point is like, if the government's been trying to hide like black ops by using alien disinformation for the last 100 years, right? Like they completely created aliens. They completely created UFOs. They created the lore. They have nothing, but they use it to, I don't know.
Maybe try and look at it from a different direction. Like, let's just say that the government or the powers that be, whatever the fuck you want to call it, they know exactly what aliens are.
Sure, yeah.
And they just know that for whatever reason, maybe they can't keep it under wraps. And this is the slow release of what you need to know. It's your primer for...
You're saying experts have decided this is the best way to divulge this
to
information.
actually roll out this information.
experts
is
are always
just
wrong.
a slow trickle.
I mean, listen, let's play Simon's thing out for what. Let's say in the 50s they found a craft, and on that craft they found a straight up Earth human, and he's in a wife beater. It's dirty. He's covered in piss. He doesn't look good, and he's got a note with him that says like, whatever you do, don't, I don't know, build Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? Whatever he figured out was like the turning point in humanity, he has written like, don't do it, but it's too late. We've already done it. Like he came back too late.
Yeah.
You know what? And again, that's a terrible example.
What
but
if they find like it has nothing to do with alien at all, and it's something totally different and way scarier?
hold on, let's back up too. I think what Joe's saying, like Joe's often said that he believes in aliens. He just thinks that a lot of this whistleblower stuff is. What's up, Kamar? Go ahead.
I just had a.
No, please, let's hear your epiphany.
It has nothing to do with what you're saying. So
No. But he. Sorry, go on with your thought.
All I'm saying is, Joe still believes that there are definitely aliens and that they probably have craft. He's just saying that all this stuff being released now is more likely than not because they have some insane drone technology that they're trying to test out. Yep. And as I mentioned before with Fravor, he's the perfect guy to test it on. You have a fucking super vet. He knows how everything moves. He knows how to read all the gauges properly. So he knows, like, I'm seeing this thing out there and it's moving I'm clocking it at this. Then the U.S. government can say, okay, our own guy said he saw this thing and it vanished in the water. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's what Joe's saying too.
Or
it's a craft.
Or
yeah.
Conversely, that thing is out there. They used to see 1 or 2 a year. Now, over the past 10 years or 20 years, they're seeing hundreds a week. They know the gig is almost up. Yeah. They're not going to just... Like, there is a way you have to do this, I think, for the common folk.
Here's another problem, too. If you spend 50x what every other country on Earth spends on your military, it's tough for you to then tell your people, hey, listen, there's this thing flying around San Diego. We don't know whose it is. We don't know where it's from or what it is. And, best of luck with that.
Or, like I said, what if it's like... They say it's aliens because that's easy for us to understand. It's something from elsewhere that looks different than us that is coming here in their little spaceships. Maybe it's just they project whatever this thing is, projects what we need to see for the times, be it spaceships or horse-drawn carriages flying in the air or whatever the fuck it is. And this has nothing to do with aliens, and it has to do with like something way more close to something religious. And that idea is way harder to push on your society than little green men.
That's my favorite visual of all time, that aliens come here, and it's not some like super sleek ship. It's a horse-drawn carriage that can fly really fast.
I didn't mean like that. I'm just back in the day when the Greeks or the Romans were riding around on horse-drawn carriages, not whatever those things
Chariots.
are, chariots, that's what you're going to see. Oh my God, there's a chariot flying in the sky
I get
because
it.
you don't understand. Or we assumed it was because they didn't understand they were looking at a spaceship, which seems kind of stupid. Maybe it really was. That's what they projected, right? Like that's what your brain can comprehend. That's, we're going to go a little over the top on what you already know to prove to you that we can fly.
The disclosure of aliens challenges religions, or religions are suppressed. You cannot tell people about this because all our religions teach that everything goes out the window. These are forces. I just keep thinking of a focus group of normal people. The military tells them they all lose their mind, or we got to shoot them because they just didn't react the right way, and keep trying to figure out how to release it to normal Joes.
That's actually a great point. Like every year, just like a jury, they just choose 12 random Joes, like a doctor, a lawyer, a garbage man, like just one from like 12 states across. Yeah, and they just bring them in. They're like, all right, and they show them like a War of the Worlds type thing, and like, well, this year 6 of them jumped out the window, so
They just could take it. Like,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out one of these days.
Like, dude, I saw the best thing. Speaking of the government hiding things, Simon, I saw the best thing the other day. It was like, what if witness protection is all a lie? What if it's cheaper for the government just to kill whoever
Well, they
witnessed?
make people snitch think.
That's what I'm saying. And then when you're like, hey, where's so and so? They're like, what do you mean? Who? That? Oh, we hid them so well. And you're like, oh, I guess, yeah, great job.
And they all do it like, hey, this house just looks like the house in I forgot the movie, but Goodfellas or whatever. They kill you in
That's
an
it, yeah,
ironic
yeah,
scene.
yeah.
You just be like, yeah. What did you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes way more sense.
All to say, Simon.
Because it's funny.
Yeah,
They have less guilt.
Listen, Simon. What the government is capable of hiding from us is endless, right? They've established that.
Yep.
So how about this? It's more likely than not that this Grush guy has something to release that the government knows. That's more likely than not at this point. Like if your track record is we lie consistently and all the time, then in your defense, Grush is more likely than not has legitimate information that he's trying to get out.
I think he probably does.
I know you do, yeah. But
But that doesn't mean the government can't also now try and run the information coming out.
We don't want that though. Historically,
Of course not.
I want to believe in aliens, and I hope there's some slow leak happening. But let's say they are here. The idea, I think Duncan proposed, is that they put in place us in a long game to build AI.
Say it again.
But they're like, we start the seed here, we go there. By the time we come back, which to them is a blink of an eye, but it's the only way you
But
can do it.
why not just build the AI?
Because maybe you have to do it. It's a slow thing that you have to make.
No, he's saying like the panspermia. Like you shoot something out, you shoot a billion things out into the galaxy, and eventually they'll hit a planet. And when they do, if the planet is in that Goldilocks zone,
Yeah, I understand. But what he's saying is that the purpose of humans was the aliens put us here to make AI.
yeah.
Why, if you're the aliens, why not just make AI?
Because it's like baking. Why not just have the cake?
Oh no, but Simon,
Right. In order to get AI, you have to.
But even then, Simon, you could think about it in a much like think about it was Zachariah Sitchin. Like maybe the idea is like you're here to not just build AI, but then you're going to build power plants and robots, and then we're going to come back and have this robot workforce ready to go, and they can mine the gold
Like
or
I said,
whatever.
that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
The time doesn't matter either.
No, that's of course not. Especially if you figured out wormholes and all
Oh,
that.
fuck, we forgot. Are they done AI or whatever?
Oh my God, we left that one in the oven too long. They've destroyed themselves.
Basically, it's like a real science experiment where you're like watching mold grow.
That's the most exciting possible thing, and it's a simulation.
Simon, do you remember the Black Mirror? I think it was Black Mirror where they opened their fridge.
Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It's a
And
simulation.
every time it's just a little further into the history of the people living in the fridge.
Exactly. And then eventually it's just like pew, that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
they all
yeah,
just
yeah.
disappear.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Like, Simon, let me ask you a question. If 10 years from now, Grush comes out and the government, let's say opens the books and you find out that they do have craft, they found like an alien. So you have proof now that there are aliens,
okay.
but that's all they have. Because
they don't know what it is. They don't know how it works.
yeah, because what I was going to say is you might have to live with the fact that they don't know shit.
Yeah, no, well, I told you the story about that guy Lakatsky. He's the guy who wrote the book with Knapp, and he just did that interview, and they wrote a new book. They wrote Skinwalkers at the Pentagon.
Okay.
And they just wrote this new book. And in this new book, they say, chapter like 13, the U.S. government is in possession of a UFO that they have finally figured out how to get inside. Meaning that they had it for a long time,
Yeah, and
but had
couldn't
no
even crack it,
idea
yeah.
how to even get into the thing. Now they're in it. Who knows if Space Pimp was right, what's his name? Bob Lazar.
Bobby Lasers.
He described it as having the inside was like totally seamless, no nothing,
Yeah.
just there was nothing. It was just like
No
stainless
screws, no
steel
mechanics.
everywhere.
Yeah, I get it.
No sharp points. It was all. What do you do with that? It's like remember I was telling you about that movie, Starfight, The Last Starfighter. I think
Yeah.
it is. Is that what that movie is? Anyways, it's one of these Disney movies, and the UFO, it's from like the 80s. The UFO looks exactly like the Tic Tac. And it's flown by, the inside is totally like what Bob
Yeah, it
Lazar
just has
said. It has two things for the guy's hands, and he sits or stands in the thing, and his brain flies the thing. There are all these stories of people who get abducted by aliens who come back and have the exact same story, even though they're like nowhere near each other. And it's always, that's the way you fly the machine.
Yeah.
What's interesting, made me think about that because it's not The Last Starfighter, which is a wicked movie.
It's not
the movie exists.
It's not The Last Starfighter, but
there was a movie when I was a kid called Firefox, and it was about the Russians had made this jet that you just think and it does it. Mm-hmm. So you control just through your thought.
Yeah. And
they had to get Clint Eastwood to steal it because he was an American pilot, but he knew Russian.
So it only thinks in Russian, the computer,
But
whatever.
just the idea that maybe the Russian military has this, which could be actually from alien technology.
I mean, that was probably just a good propaganda
That's 40
film
years
back
ago,
then.
that movie.
the
Yeah.
movie is Flight of the Navigator.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, like you're saying, they could have things they found a long time that are, yeah, we know they're out there. We know they're there, which was way scarier. And I don't think the government ever wants to say that to their people because it admits that we spend trillions of, like
what
you
I'm
said,
saying, yeah.
on our military, and we can't protect you from demons.
Yeah. I mean, listen, here's a good example. Like, compared to a monkey, I'm pretty fucking smart. But that computer over there, if you ask me to back engineer that computer, I'm fucked. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, now someone built that. A group of people put their minds together over time, and that exists, and I can use it. I understand it. But if you asked me to back engineer that, and that's kind of this, that's what I'm saying is like, if something is so far advanced beyond us, there's not really much we can do for most of it.
To
There-
back engineer it. If
Yeah.
it doesn't even work on the same principles.
This is what I'm saying. It's tough to figure out something that is so far
No
beyond you.
circuits.
Yeah.
It's just a bulb of.
And forget that, Matt. That's
Mercury.
assuming that you can see how it functions. What if you still can't get into it? What if you're finding a round ball that is impossible to get into?
Well, no, but here's another thing. This was interesting because he brought up Bob Lazar talking about that element 151 or whatever
Yeah,
it was,
yeah.
and he was saying it's to activate it that you need like a large dose of radiation, right? So like that's a good example of like until we can figure out a way to like give something a high dose of radiation without killing a human, it's totally fucking useless to us in that form, right? Like we have element 151, they've duplicated it in a lab, right? Or replicated it. That's,
One time, I think.
sure. But the point is, let's say they could
You
keep.
have to do it in CERN.
Is that where you have to do
Yeah,
it? Okay,
like
yeah.
it has
so-
to be done in a hadron collider. Like it's the hardest thing to do.
Sure.
That's-
But the point is, so like, let's say we figured out how to build the ultimate hadron so there's always element 151. You then have to figure out how to radiate it to the point where it becomes useful. And we can't even be around that high of radiation without
Yeah,
us
right,
dying,
right.
right? So until there's so many gaps between us and whatever this element 151, it's a lot. It's a lot. Sorry, Kumar.
No, but no.
No, you just looked very lost there, and I feel you.
I'm just wondering where, like, aliens. I believe them. I'm just with Joe and cynical that, like, whatever we're getting is not the truth. They are out there. And I like the idea that they are using us to build AI. It sort of felt like the Gozers,
The doozers.
the Doozers.
But they're not they build their buildings.
No, it was an accurate analogy, but
And
I just
then,
felt
yeah.
like,
You know what's interesting too, Simon, is if the government works in like the dark way we think, it would be interesting for them to be like, okay, so we're post-COVID. No one believes much of what we say right now. Should we drop some alien stuff? You know what I mean? Like,
too, the
like
one-
government trust. Yeah. Oh yeah.
bring it a new 12.
That's what I'm.
Or even simpler, we need to fight 2 wars that we shouldn't be involved in.
Yeah.
Let's give them something to chew on. But again, nobody really gives a fuck. So I don't think that's a good analogy.
needle has not been
Nobody
moved.
cares. They released something that says we found aliens and nobody fucking blinks an eye. It's not like...
I think the problem is too, though, like because it's not the 20s or 50s anymore. I think now we're all in agreement that if there are aliens that want to come down and fucking stick stuff up our butt, we're kind of at their whim.
And there's enough of us that'll do it.
Like ignorance is bliss. I think in the 50s we had like we're Americans and we'll fight those alien bastards with our guns.
Well, that's why it's hilarious when they're like, we're making a space force because we need to protect ourselves from this threat. If it's a threat, you're fucked, buddy. Like, and how long have they been here for? And we're still here, and we see them by accident every like once in a while. You know, I don't know.
If there are aliens, I'm sure they look at us as like the most feeble shit in the universe. Like I'm sure they're like, we could wipe these guys out in.
But they're almost done doing the AI. Like you can't rush rice. It's just the way it is.
Rush rice.
But yeah, I don't know, man. If there are aliens and they are here on Earth and they've been here for a long time, then everything on the table is possible, right?
Yeah.
Like you can no longer think to yourself like, oh, well, Bigfoot is a crazy idea.
No, you can't.
No, like, it could just be another species of alien. Like we've said this before, right? Like Chewbacca, a Wookiee, that's a Bigfoot, but we accept it because he comes from...
Predictive programming.
We don't accept it. It's in a film.
No, but they put it in there so we can accept it.
Of course.
Of course.
Anyways.
They had a brief conversation about malaria.
Did he say
Malaria.
Malaria medication. And
I thought you meant malaria.
it makes you psychotic, kill people, suicidal
Homicidal.
thought. Like,
Yeah.
how is that the only way we can
Listen,
make
you got to get to Africa, man.
It's just maybe we should take that part out of it, or I don't know. Just that's what we accept that.
Yeah, I know. It's weird what we accept.
Well, it does show you that the FDA is just a joke.
Like there's no
100%.
better malaria medicine they can make. It's either cures you of malaria, but you become a homicidal maniac.
You
That's
may-
just the
may
give
kill
and
your
take
family,
of,
but you're not going to get the fever.
you get to go on the plane. You may kill everybody on it, but
No, but it is odd, like to think that there's a drug administration that's in charge of being like, yeah, this thing's good to go. And at some point, someone was like, so what are the side effects of this drug? And they were like, I mean, listen, 10% of the people started getting homicidal. They may have,
Matt, you've gotten an MRI, yeah?
yeah.
There's got to be a better way. Like they've been using the same goddamn machines for how long? Haven't changed an iota.
Listen.
This isn't the best way you can do this.
If you can't bring your gun into an MRI,
No,
what do we do?
I don't even mean that.
What does freedom even mean?
But come on, they're like putting you into a tiny little coffin size. There's got to be a better way.
I mean,
They
I
just
know.
don't care. That's the point. Like if something works and they can make money from it, then that's fine.
Well, we sound pretty stupid because it's a giant magnet that looks inside your body, and for us to be like, there's got to be a better way.
Well, when you can tell when things don't change at all over decades and decades and decades, like there's a reason for that. It's not because they invented the perfect mousetrap. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Come on, don't be so stupid.
Go fuck yourself.
They talked about ketamine to fight depression, which I'm sure falls into our next guest. What he talked about is, sure, you can get ketamine, but insurance won't cover it. So it's a private thing you got to
Yeah,
go
it
do.
won't even cover most insurance won't cover like CBD or mushrooms
But
or anything.
I
like
think
that.
Matthew Perry, they said he died of ketamine,
Yeah.
which I was thinking might be one of these things to be put out there.
Well, that might
Yeah,
have.
but hold on.
whoa,
There's a
whoa,
difference.
pump the brakes.
Yeah, there's a difference though. If Matthew Perry bought ketamine off some guy and took a bunch and got in his hot tub, there's a difference.
And if you fall asleep in your hot tub, like
Well, no, I say if someone planted it on him or put it in his
okay,
body.
sure. Yeah, fair enough.
This is
To-
this
oh,
will
I
make
get- I
people
get
be
what you're
afraid of
saying.
ketamine now.
that, you think that's what they're doing?
I
that
don't
was
know what
big,
they do.
big ketamine killed Matthew Perry.
No, he's saying like
it-
big pharma.
As people are saying ketamine's this cure, I mean, take SRIs off the
Oh, I
no,
see.
you
And
pump
Simon-
the brakes on
Gotcha,
it. Weed
gotcha,
madness.
gotcha.
Let's not act like fucking Purdue Pharma or one of these companies wouldn't kill a famous person just to fucking make sure that a drug doesn't.
No, that's right. And what just happened recently where a whole bunch of people died and they said, oh, they were all doing mushrooms.
Yes. Well, no, is the guy who took over the plane.
The guy who took
was
over the
one
plane, right?
situation.
Yes, exactly. And you're like, really? You sure wasn't all the crystal meth he was
Yeah.
on?
Duncan talked about how vaping was really bad for his blood pressure.
Yeah.
And the
I mean, listen, if you have ball cancer and a bunch of like underlying health issues, I mean, I shouldn't be vaping. No one should be vaping.
you
It's-
made me too. Double shade.
No. Like listen. I stopped smoking for 3 years. Like I just smoked weed. I was in Vancouver. Everything was fucking gravy. I don't know what happened.
You came home, man.
Yep. And then immediately I was like, "Give me a fucking cigarette."
East
Yeah.
Coast
Started
depression.
hanging out with me.
Yeah.
So that's what I think the quote of the episode was: "The gates of hell are locked from the inside."
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
as your own. You got you got to get
Whose
out.
quote was that though? I know Duncan said it, but
I
it
did
was
not write the attribution. The attributed name.
So what is that insinuating, that we are in hell, but we actually like it?
You can get out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You're choosing
Yes.
not to leave.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I mean, I think that's a loose thing what Jordan Peterson says as well. Not to conflate the two.
You know what though? So I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I think when we grew up, there was like a weird like competition. Like, oh, I'm so busy. You know what I mean? Like everyone was like in competition to see who was busier. And I think we as kids, like
Socially?
just in general, like, oh, I'm so busy with work. I'm so busy. And then we as kids, like, we thought that being an adult was all about like being stressed and being busy. And now that's how we are. So busy. I'm so stressed.
Just repeating the patterns that we
Yeah.
saw. Yeah. Sounds about right. They mentioned The Breakfast Club. You guys both saw that movie.
Yes.
It's the JRE movie game. The time has come again. For Matt and Simon to rack their brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE movie game. Come on, take it away, baby.
It's the movie game where Matt and Simon go head to head to find out what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. I want to apologize for my voice. It's just
Why were you staring at me so weirdly?
You know, you think
because I was about to say, "Don't you forget about me." And
don't you? You know,
Pause.
you think after 5 years this guy would have some level of professionalism. It's almost like he sneaks the movie game in on me. Like he knows I'm not ready to hit the
Oh,
button.
I
Like, it'd
could
be
have
like-
just had a little more of a pre.
Yeah, or even just, you know, a little tap of the table so I know, like, hey, get the button ready. But no, he's
Hey,
like,
man.
you have to see the Breakfast Club, right?
I want to say I'm grateful for the feedback, and that's something I should work on, especially in the new year.
Well, there you go.
If there's a time to turn shit around.
Well, Kamar, you know who should be turning this podcast around? It's really on me, and I'm doing a piss poor job.
Stop it. Breakfast Club, directed by John Hughes, one of his classics, and I also think he did Home Alone.
He did.
Which I caught a glimpse of it the other day. And Joe Pesci and
They're 38 years old.
they look so young. They look so fucking young that it just broke my heart. Because the time I saw that movie, they were crusty old criminal types, and now they're just young guys trying to make it through Christmas like anyone would.
Getting old is tough, dude. Watching sports, like seeing all the coaches now. Like I said, I know we mentioned this a few weeks ago, but when I was young, you were just like, oh, this old guy behind the
Grandpa.
bench.
Yep.
And now you're like, wait a minute, this guy played when I.
No, they should make a rule that they have to dress really old.
Yeah. Simon, you have a year?
I do.
What year do you have?
I have 1986.
I have 1984.
You guys always do this.
It's
It filmed
85?
in 1985.
God damn it.
Fuck me in there.
George Seifert, Don Shula, like these guys look old, man.
Even Pete Carroll, he's 72, but he doesn't look 72.
Well, not when he's running up inside the sidelines.
Not when he's running up inside the sidelines. You're already ready or something?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't think you'd be ready that quick. I mean, how much did this movie cost? I could have made this movie for like $26.
It was filmed in a high school one day. It's so interesting how a movie could be 3 years or one day, and it's always coming out in an hour and 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours.
I really went out. I did left field here. I'm ready, Simon.
Okay, I'm ready too.
I said it cost $8.9 million, and it made 68.
This is insane. I said it cost 8.7 million and it made 69.
No fucking
Yeah.
way.
You little pervert. Budget $1 million.
Okay.
It was probably filmed in a day.
Yeah.
And
In a
box
high
office,
school.
51.5 million.
I think that's a win for both of us.
I'll give you guys a win to end the year.
I mean, I won't take it, but
Both off by the year. Your average makes the year. It's a simple
Simon, we
math.
were $7 million off the budget, and we were like within 10. Or, well, right, whatever. You don't like it, fine.
And back to our Oscars talk, there would be consideration for budget to resources.
right.
That'd be
in
all
a
part of
perfect movie. Yeah. That's crazy. That
The
was
movie game.
pretty
That's
close.
what of 2023.
We guess 1 year away, 1980.
It's so funny, too, because I had initially written 27 million. Then I was like, no, they filmed this in one day at a high school. There's
I
no fucking
originally
way.
had it at 5.6 million and then changed it. So
Well, because 5.6 seems criminally low to make a film.
Yeah,
like,
but you got to think like nobody was famous at that point.
doesn't matter. In the 80s, making a film, you had to have film and cameras and a like.
Yeah, $1 million was a shit ton of money back in '86.
I don't know, man. Renting cameras is like a real fucking. It's a real problem. Anyway, keep going, Kamar.
That's the movie game. And then they got into AI, and it's weird how we focus on identity, but we don't understand consciousness. And if we don't understand consciousness, how would we know if we built it?
Yeah.
How would we know what it looks like if we can't? Which is really scary or exciting.
Yeah.
And that the bunny tipped me off because they talked about they made a bunny and said make it godlike or whatever. It ended up being looking like DMT. Mm-hmm. And how does this thing know that? And
Not
then
godlike. They just said happier. Make it happier.
And that's where it gets to that level.
Yeah.
And so I started playing around with it, and that I blew my mind. I showed you that. I didn't show you the first Viking, but I could make him more sadder and more sadder and more sadder. And it would have.
How did you? What's weird is every time I've tried to use it. Now I don't think I've used. You're using DALL-E.
DALL-E.
It'll never let me put any text or like a logo. Like I can't believe it put that Vikings logo in there.
You create, yeah. I think it might be the prompt. An image of the letters.
No, but even then, like it nailed the Vikings logo. So it like normally with me, if I asked for the Vikings logo, it might put the Vikings logo, but then it wouldn't spell the like it would make sure that the copyright is not infringed upon. So it's,
I think the copyright was infringed
Oh,
upon.
100%.
So it leads me to believe right now we're in the wild, wild west of these things. And like you said, it's going to get shut down any day now, unless people don't understand.
I think it's moving too fast for lawmakers.
Like
I think in
like
general-
the way the lawmakers reacted to the internet.
Yeah, where they're
Agreed.
still trying to catch up. Yeah,
One thing, people who like cryogenically froze themselves
yeah,
might get the last laugh.
maybe like John Wayne.
Like if AI can figure out anything, they're just. I knew it.
Imagine John
All
Wayne
the
though.
people making fun of them and stuff. I think it'd be too much of a shock.
It's 2040 and John Wayne comes out. A lot of chicks with penises.
Cancel.
Exactly. He's done.
And maybe even people right now doing body modifications, whatever. We're talking about kids, but maybe it'll be able to just change genders on you.
Yeah.
Like hold off for a bit because it's about to get weird.
Well, if you're going into the Matrix, air quotes,
Yeah.
can't you just go in and be a lady, be a man, be whatever you are not on the outside? Like, why? You won't even have to have a machine that changes your body because you become a different person anyways.
Then they propose the idea that you just want to try it out, but then you forget.
You all right there, buddy?
I have like a hair stuck in my
Ooh,
tooth, and
that's
it's
the
driving me
worst.
nuts.
That is the worst.
Yeah, that's nuts. What if you want to? What if you want to try something out?
Like a drug or something?
No, I want to be a gorilla, or I
Yeah.
want to be this.
Oh, that would
but,
be fucking cool.
But you forget
Who you are.
that you were. You're.
No, that's what Duncan said. He's like,
That's what they-
you're a god, but you can become a dolphin. But if you stay a dolphin too long, you forget that you're a god.
Yeah, or if you become something too stupid, you'll never remember that you were a...
Any scenario you can imagine, and it brings me all back to that guy David Silva. Remember, he was an early guest,
Yeah.
and all he would do is pontificate about. But this stuff is coming to fruition. It's not molecular yet, I'm imagining it's possible. So it will be. Maybe it's 100 years. The manipulation of anything.
Well, Buddy seemed pretty certain that they had already cloned humans, so the boner.
Here's the problem: is given enough time, I think as a species, we've proven that given enough time, anything we can think of, we will eventually get to.
That's it.
So as long as we don't eradicate ourselves, whatever we're thinking right now, smarter people are thinking of crazier stuff, and it will eventually come to
It's
fruition.
been thought of. I thought I invented eggnog pancakes.
That's a pretty fucking good idea.
It's been done though.
1,000,000 times, I'm sure.
I went to post my recipe to bring the internet to its knees.
Have you tried ice cream French toast?
Melting ice cream as the
Yeah.
no, I haven't.
As the what?
And so instead of
Syrup?
egg, so
just
instead of
the
egg,
soak,
your
yeah.
base, you soak it like you would. The ice cream melts in the pan and becomes the soak. No, it's nice and creamy. It's got flavor. It's good.
I use really heavy cream and eggs and sort of whip
That's what I'm
together.
saying. So it's cream and eggs. It's
I
the
saw
same shit.
something amazing today, or it looked amazing anyways. It's this bakery in New York, and they make a $50 box of cereal.
I think I've seen this.
Cook it fresh every morning, and they're tiny little rolled croissants.
I have seen this. Yeah.
And you just pour your milk on them, and you eat
They're
them.
crunchy.
No, I think they're like still
my
kind of.
Kamar, they make like 100,000 mini croissants a day by hand.
Yeah,
and
it's like 50 boxes
Yeah,
a
yeah,
day. Or
it's
something.
nuts.
I would like to
I
do
saw that
something
too,
about
Simon.
homelessness,
Dude.
but this
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
Duncan has an audiobook. Look that up if you want to help him.
Kamar, even the homeless people are outside of the place. Like, can you spare $25 for some croissant breakfast?
I'll suck your dick. I forget why they're talking about military and just a war with society. Like at the same breath that we say anything's possible, nothing's possible because we have not been able to figure out how to be peaceful.
Well, it's like Kamar and I were talking on the way over here. He's like, so you notice nobody's like up in arms about how warm it is. Just for context, in Ottawa right now, it should be feet deep in snow, and instead it's like
It's a
6
balmy-
degrees.
And recently, any climatic event, someone goes, and no, again, you
Yeah,
see, but
global
everyone's like,
warming until it affects you in a good way,
Yeah.
and then you're like, well, you know,
Yeah, then you're just
maybe
quiet.
a little
Let's see how
global
this
warming, it
plays
wasn't
out.
bad. And then I was saying, well, you know, for war, instead of going into countries and obliterating people, just take the $1 trillion and start making it rain money.
Yeah.
Break
People
'em
will
off
be
some.
millionaires, and then they'll be like, I don't want to live in the desert anymore. This is crazy. And they'll
That's
just
so
leave
funny.
on their
That's
own.
Fucking, you
But
got to
that'll-
make that bit.
But that'll affect the shareholders. So it's
No, because you
it's all
just
for now.
no, like an insurance company, you explain to the shareholders. You can say, okay, listen, if we just dump trillions of dollars, it's actually cheaper than if we just literally go and dump 2 trillion.
but the
Yeah,
jobs,
no, but
we
it's
figured it
the
out.
jobs. It's the making
Oh,
of
yeah.
the tanks. Somebody has to make the tanks and get paid.
You're going
on
to
the
cause
tanks.
unemployment.
Yeah.
It's trying to save the
This is
world.
going to ruin the world. Saving the world ruins the world. That's the dichotomy.
But that's what they did. They did a movement where they changed it from the Department of War to the Department of Defense. And that just
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
softens
right.
the blow of all these things, all this spending. It's about defense.
Well, it's like when you find out that the Department of Energy is involved in like all the most vile shit the country has ever done. You're like, wait, what?
but it sounds so.
It's because they
must
just,
be doing a
what
good
is the
thing.
Department of Energy? We don't know. It's where we give the money when we want really bad shit to happen, you know?
But to be
Who
president,
killed
you need,
JFK? Department of
Yeah,
Energy.
it's-
everyone should agree to be a leader. You have to go through this ayahuasca, ibogaine gauntlet.
You know, what they're
Is that
saying
inhumane?
sounds ridiculous, But it seems crazy too that you can be any Joe Schmo and just decide you want to be the leader of the free world. Like there's no, if you want to be a Marine, a Navy SEAL, you go and you fucking do
Howie.
the course. There's no course for president of the United States.
Outside of campaigning and doing all that
There
stuff.
is no
I
course.
like
Just a leadership test.
I like the ayahuasca gauntlet, but more than that, turn it into a reality series at the same time. So we get to watch. No, because then we get to learn the
You're going to be the leader
This
of
is
the
what I'm
country.
saying. So we slowly get to learn the candidates. Hey, this
Like you're onto something. Forget the ayahuasca. Just make them play Squid Games, and we'll have a great idea of what your innards
Yeah.
are like. You know?
yeah.
Send him to a bar to pick up a girl.
Dude, wouldn't
or
that be
vice
so
versa.
funny? It's Squid Games, but it's like Trump, Putin,
Be incredible. Be incredible.
Mao Zedong.
One episode they have
whoever's
to
in
wash
charge
dishes
over
in a
there.
restaurant. Like just
What?
Trump's in there with Putin. He's like, this guy's gay.
Exactly.
Let's get rid of him.
There's a bunch of you have to take out the garbage. There's just a bunch of tests of
Didn't you
humility.
see him riding that horse with his shirt off?
Yeah.
Gay.
No, he loves
There
Putin.
should be some sort of presidential, prime ministerial leader gauntlet.
I
But
think
keep in
they're-
mind though, hold on. What I think the reality aspect of it is good because then you really do get to learn. Like the candidates are so not suppressed, but insulated from us that
From
you
reality.
just get to see the talking points that they want put forward. But it'd be good to see them like,
You have to spend a week at the mission
yeah,
as a patron, not like serving soup.
but no, just like I'd love to see like on this episode Donald's 5th ayahuasca trip. You know, and he's like, "Mommy."
Then
just puking his shit.
Duncan had Jamie pull up some disappointing footage of the Bohemian Grove, may not look as good, and everything was going well till the guy got in his boat and had a frying pan.
You know what's insane, Kamar, is when you think about this season of Billions and that one episode where they go to that summer camp thing. Like, that is what the fuck is going on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but it might not be, again, like Marshall
Nixon.
Ali says, they're doing this thinking they're controlling the world, but they're still, even they are not in control. But they do it thinking they are.
Or they are in control.
Or they are in
and
control, sure.
This is just what they do.
But when they showed Richard Nixon condemns it or says there are a bunch of fags out there. He says, I've gone a couple times.
Yeah, on multiple occasions.
like-
Because he knew that things
There are a
happen.
bunch of
there.
fags up there, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
No, I think what he was insinuating was like, I got to go there to make shit happen because that's where the most powerful people in the world are. But they're all a bunch of crazy owl loving,
It's tough to say.
pansies.
It is tough to say. But what is not tough to say is
Well, hold on. It is a good. I love how they brought up because I thought of this too. The idea that the Illuminati is going to continue to go where Alex Jones has broken into and documented, like, well, what? We're going to find a new summer
Planet's
home.
not that big.
What are we, billionaires?
it's
Like,
not that big.
We've already built the owls.
that's true.
No, you can have some sacred sort of reason. It's a burial ground or whatever. You can
Yeah, that's
recreate.
probably exactly what it was. It was built on top of like.
I'm
an
sure the
Egyptian-
Illuminati have many burial grounds they can go to.
I felt Joe was sort of like poking fun at Burning Man or equating to it, and Duncan had to put his foot in the sand. And like he loves Burning Man, and I'm sure anyone who goes there comes out going, "Oh man, you just don't understand."
Except this year.
Even this year, they're saying that there was betrayal, that it was hell on earth because of flood, but we're like, you just make the best of it. And it's the Burning Man where that happened. You never forget that or whatever.
I mean, we probably also don't take into account that, like, you're there for a week. It happens day one. And for us, you're like, oh my God, they're stuck in the mud. But you're like, I was here all week. I planned on being here for the week anyway. Yeah, exactly. I wasn't going
They
anywhere.
have drugs, they have women, they have
Yeah.
music, they have guys, they have everything they need.
We're going
Iowa,
through the guys in there, right?
yeah, progressive.
Yeah, it's just all the things I like.
Ayahuasca was like a first time you heard ayahuasca was on Joe Rogan, and it was probably Aubrey, Chris Martin, whatever his name is now, and it was sort of like, oh wow, this is the inside scoop. Now it's common. Aaron Rodgers said on Pat McAfee's done ayahuasca.
There's no way you heard of ayahuasca before Joe Rogan.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think so.
I don't believe that.
Peru, the whole thing.
No, I think he's
And
right.
DMT as well.
Yeah. Oh, for
DMT
sure,
I had never
DMT.
heard of until Joe
For
Rogan.
sure, DMT.
But
one and the same.
ayahuasca I had definitely heard of.
I think
No, I agree. I don't think I had heard of
I
ayahuasca
equate to
either.
that, and that is sort of like
The only one I had ever heard of, I'm sorry, Kamar, was peyote.
Peyote, yeah.
That was the only, and to me, that was ayahuasca. You puke, you shit, and then you trip, you know?
You puke, you shit, and then you trip. That's their sales pitch.
That's how they sell it. It's on the back of the box.
that's all. That's coming.
Will cause shitting.
You puke, you shit,
Yeah.
you trip.
However long that's become mainstream. And I've heard people on podcasts talk about having DMT pens and stuff who would not think are doing that sort of thing. They played the Fauci tape, and now with AI, I can't believe
Yeah, you can't believe
if
anything
it's true
anymore.
or not.
No, it's so true. Like if this technology of AI right now is coming out to us, like you said, it means they've had it, the military, for God knows how long. How many of the
whoever.
things that you've heard and seen and have been invented and have become famous and popular are nothing more than tropes invented by ChatGPT that we didn't even know about? Like, it's insane, man. It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. And then it's insane that people embrace something as like, oh, added value OnStar in my car. Because if someone steals it, they can shut it off. And that makes me feel safe. Not ignoring that, well, if they don't want me to drive, they can shut off. We don't. I can't afford a car, but I would now not
Well, look,
get a car with
that's,
OnStar.
that's part. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, just real quick. I think the thing is like OnStar, like, yes, that technology does exist. OnStar themselves are not going to be, they're not incentivized to turn your car off.
No.
Like, what I'm saying is the second they do that, every OnStar user is going to be like, wait a minute, they actually went through and did that. Like, I get what you're saying. If they can do it, the CIA or the NSA or any hacker can get in there and do it as well. But OnStar as a company, they are not incentivized to ever turn your car off. Their only incentive is to open the doors when you're locked out.
Well, they're not incentivized for you to find out they can.
Well, that's a
they've
good point,
done
too.
that.
Yeah, sure.
I
You're right.
If you know where the car is going to break down, you can be there and drive it off and put the person in the witness relocation program.
Look, people have willingly decided that they want their cars to be able to be shut off by the government. They want their cars to not be able to get gas when the government decides to shut off the electric charging station. You know, like, we're making it easier and easier for them to do exactly what they want, just by making it popular.
It would have been interesting if OnStar was unveiled and it was like, no.
No. The problem was
one
OnStar
bought
just
OnStar.
joined in with like Ford or whoever, and then every car that came out after the year 19,
I think it's General
or
Motors.
2002 had that built into it.
But if people just saw the writing on the wall and said, no one bought those cars.
But I think you're forgetting, like, it isn't a nefarious thing. Like, someone creates OnStar, okay? So they put a computer in your car and they say the GPS can hook up. We can find out where your car is and we can unlock it remotely. And you, as the forgetful car owner, are like, oh my God, I've locked my keys out so many times. This is great. And then after a year or two, you find out, oh, wait, there's exploits and someone can hack my car and they can unlock it remotely or
they convince you that it's for your benefit. Meanwhile, they had an ulterior motive in play all
sure,
along.
that's
Terms
possible
and
too.
conditions.
Like,
And nobody wants to do that, Matt. Like you were saying before, Apple like doesn't want to give anybody's information up, even when it's a crime. But when they have to, they have to. You know what I'm saying? And that could be you.
what do you mean when they have to? They have to.
Well, you know, there are times when if it was a murder case or I don't know what law the government put into effect to make sure that they can get the information from these tech companies, but they have it. They have look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look when they didn't want the laptop story to be out there. Like, you think those companies wanted to do that? No, Zuckerman even said like I didn't want to do that, but
Yeah, but we have to. Yeah, but you're taking him at his word.
Okay, I just don't think that would be such a shock to hear that, like, you know, Elon doesn't want to.
The point I'm making though is this: is Facebook. We don't know the workings of Facebook. Facebook could be a struggling.
They could be a government organization.
This is
for
my
all we
point.
know,
That's my
yeah.
point. Whereas Apple is the richest company on earth, and they can tell the government to stick it up their fucking ass.
You know
because-
what? And we don't even know if that's true, for fuck's
No,
sake.
for sure.
They could be giving information out left, right, and center, and they're like, hey, Gov, every once in a while, we're just going to say how we stood up to you.
I mean,
Like,
listen,
that's the best cover to keep, right?
we do this weird thing though. Like the NSA's whole deal is to break into these companies regardless. So it doesn't matter if Apple's giving up your information or not. The fact that they have it means the government has it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have given information somewhere, the government has it.
And listen, when you look
Plain and
back
simple.
on the creation of most of these companies, there's some weird government tie-in. Like they're embedded in these things because they're partners to begin with.
Yeah.
Apple,
I agree with
or,
that.
Facebook is the perfect example.
My whole thing is it's probably not all of them. Like I would agree with you that there's probably a majority, not a majority, like 50% of Fortune 500 companies are in some way there only because the government subsidized them, helped them, had an inside. I agree with that.
I mean, Elon is the perfect example. His company was about to go bankrupt, and the American government gave him some ungodly amount of billions of dollars to leverage him out of it. And now he gets all the contracts and all of this. And that makes sense, right? You want your own people in there. Why pay some guy twice?
And the government likes paying people twice.
Lastly, they talked about how uniform jobs suck. And you can't think of a really good uniform job. If you have to wear a uniform,
Yeah, no, uniform jobs
Unless
suck.
it's a suit.
Unless it's like,
no, that's not a uniform. I mean, that's a dress code. That's attire, but it's like a police officer or
no.
working McDonald's.
There's no good uniform.
Security guard, that sucks. Normally that
Even like a
sucks.
football player, those uniforms suck.
Pilot?
Uniforms just suck.
I guess that's the best.
Pilot?
They stink.
You have to kill a bunch of people you don't even know.
You're still in this stuffy
I don't know,
suit.
man. I think a pilot's probably the best of them.
Oh, like a airline pilot.
Yeah.
No, those guys hate
It's
their
garbage.
lives. They're all
Yeah,
drunks.
exactly. Thank you.
Stewardess,
They all stink.
attendant,
And the worst,
UPS.
the worst of the
stripper.
worst is the UPS shorts. They're taking it to
ladies
a
have a
whole
thing for
new
them.
level.
Dude, if you're making 160K a year, I think you're okay wearing the little brown shorts.
And that's why the football players play their uniform. You will have a job where you wear a uniform, but strive to not.
Like Shane's bit about the volleyball players, where he's like, and I was saying, those shorts, they're ridiculous. And the girl was like, oh no, they're mandatory. We have to wear them. They make us faster and better at our sport. And he was like, you know how I know that's not true? Because look at what the Special Olympic volleyball players wear.
They'd give him any edge, right? And I guess I wrote down a rest app. Does that mean anything to you guys? Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, Jamie pulled it up. There's an app you can pull up if you're being like pulled over or arrested.
Oh,
And
to
you're
tell you
tells
exactly,
what to do.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about how annoying those videos are where people
yeah, the
go up to
sovereign
the cops
fucking
and give their
sovereign
Fifth
citizens. yeah.
Amendment or whatever.
Yeah.
Create an app that says I cannot speak and talk to the police officer on my behalf. Pull an Arian Bilal or Stephen Hawking.
I got to tell you though, when you see some of those, it is very interesting. Like you'll see like an ICE checkpoint and you'll see a guy pull up and they're like, yeah, it's an ICE checkpoint. We just need to see your ID. And the guy will be like, no. And they'll be like, sorry, what? And he's like, yeah, I don't have to show you ID. I haven't committed a crime. I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm traveling freely. And they'll always press them. And he'll be like, can I talk to a supervisor? And then the supervisor will come over and he'll be like, yeah, my Fifth Amendment right says I don't have to show you ID right now. So I'm just going to keep going. And the supervisor will always be like, okay, sir, go ahead. And you're always like, in my head, I'm always like, it's crazy that they're just out there trying to violate your fucking rights left, right, and center. And it's on you to be like, hey, I think I have a right here to not. It's fucked.
Or you just travel everywhere with a lawyer.
Yeah.
24 hours a day with a lawyer.
Well, I saw this guy, he was like, this black gentleman, he was like, he had set up shortcuts on his phone where he's like, Siri, I'm being pulled over. And it automatically sends like his location to a couple people. It automatically starts recording on the front camera. Cause like, he's like, I have
Well, that's what OnStar should do.
yeah, are you black?
Sounds like Black Mirror. Fuck.
Yeah, but the point is if you...
No,
if-
I'm saying OnStar
Yeah.
recording you inside your car. That's
I love how we're
like,
worried.
can't you jerk off in privacy and peace?
I love how you guys are worried about OnStar. You're carrying around a fucking recording device. All three of us have
Yeah.
one on the table right now. And we're like, do you think OnStar's listening to us?
I don't
Fucking
need
morons.
this to drive to the woods. That's the only difference.
What do you mean you don't need that? You don't need...
When you turn this off, I can still get my car and drive to the woods. Well, if I had a car.
I love that you think you turn that off and it's off. That's cute too.
Wow, I throw it in the river.
Okay,
It's
sure.
off.
There you go.
There is a way.
No,
Yeah.
you have to throw yourself in the river. That's the only proof
also love-
positive way you have that they're not listening to
I
you.
also love that the scooter driver over here is concerned that his OnStar is listening.
Hey, ex scooter.
Oh,
They learned how to shut that down right away.
Kamar's on the bus like, OnStar, I left my keys at home.
And how frustrating it is that it's the season of the scooter right now.
What do you mean? It's
Well, I could be.
you could still be doing it,
cruising.
yeah. All right, rate it.
Cruising.
I rated a 4. I mean, he's been on ad nauseum, but he's changed a lot.
I always think Duncan's great.
Oh, and this is a weird thing. Why doesn't he? Again, we wonder these people in orbit not have a Netflix or whatever
He
that a
did. He
special?
got that podcast one.
to stand up.
Oh, stand-up special.
Yeah.
I don't think Duncan care. I think he just likes doing stand up. But I think as far as creating content, he likes doing other stuff, like in the psychedelic meditation realm, that sort of thing. I think he's fine, just like making his own way. I don't know.
He's decided not to be more prolific.
I also think with health problems, I think maybe going on tour and then recording a special, maybe.
And maybe when he glow up, he just started getting married, just started having kids, and
Yeah, yeah.
is enjoying that experience. Not to take away from him, but just
Did you rate it?
I give it 4.
Oh yeah, that's right. I give it a 3.5. Simon.
I give it a 3.75.
There we go. All right. That is the first half. We're going to take a break. I don't think there's a bill to pay, but we will be right back. We're back. Thank you so much to you, the listener. We've had a year, and we want to thank you guys for keeping the fucking lights on, keeping the show going. Whether you've listened, watched, whether you're a Patreon, we don't care. If you're here, we love you. You hope you have a safe and happy New Year. Kamar, name and a number.
27.9. Bingham Bueller.
Isn't it Brigham?
Brigham. Brigham Bueller. Second time on the show. Now, I don't like the way he says insurance.
Yes, you mentioned that. So Simon, you really hated this. You didn't think this was like a.
I think we should give this no more than 10 minutes because this was useless. The whole thing was useless. I'm so sick of these. I can't even tell you.
I'm just curious. Like you've been through the healthcare system, you've struggled through it, and you do agree that it's incredibly broken. And this kind of sheds light on like many of the, right? And that.
Yeah, I guess.
What I want to know is because obviously they're talking about an American healthcare system with insurance being the roadblock. A bunch of these treatments and stuff aren't covered under insurance.
Yeah.
Now, since our healthcare system is different, what are the blocks there that our healthcare doesn't?
I think there's still many blocks. Like,
Many blocks.
yeah, like Simon mentioned, like let's say you could benefit from weed.
And have
We have free healthcare. Technically,
They should subsidize your
technically
drugs for
speaking,
this,
well,
for
no,
that.
but no,
they
no.
will subsidize your drugs for chemotherapy.
This is what I'm saying. Like, if you, they will subsidize for other things, and
You can get an Adderall prescription if you tell
you
the
go.
doctor that you're whatever.
Covered by Canadian healthcare.
Of course.
So it's still somehow involved
well, hold on. Actually,
medicine for profit. is
And
the
there's
problem.
even more than that. Insurance still plays. We still have insurance.
we're
Like,
also to our American listeners, we're doing a disservice. I can't without insurance go. I can't go to the pharmacy and get free drugs. That's not how it works here. Plain and simple.
I don't even know how it works because I don't
Well,
use it.
you could.
No, you can't. If I need penicillin, I will go to the doctor. He will write me a script for penicillin. I then have to take that penicillin to a pharmacy, and if I don't have insurance, I pay full pop for that penicillin. If you have insurance, you pay little to nothing. Like it might be $6 for what would normally cost. You'll pay the 10% copay or whatever. Because I know this because when I had a job in a position where I was insured, I would get super cheap prescriptions. But it's not like
But if you don't have money, like let's say you just don't have
Welfare,
cash,
yeah.
you're on welfare,
I don't
and
think
you
it's
go to the doctor,
yeah.
they are going to. You're not going to get the medicine you need if you don't have the money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been in that position, so I don't know. But I don't.
But
know.
it seems like the catch is they'll pay for the medicine you need if it keeps you unhealthy or a constant user of the system.
No, and that's where, see, this is again, if you are insured, yes. But if you're not insured, like you're paying for your own meds. Now, they'll still try to keep you sick. I agree with that. Like they're not going to give you a cure for what you're looking for, but they will try to keep you alive.
It's just like I said a couple weeks ago, if I could say, I want you to pay for my Ways to Well 5 test DNA, I send their blood, you pay for it. They just won't do that.
No.
But I can do it myself.
But it's a good point. Like if the Canadian, here's the thing, we, the Canadian people, we pay for everyone's healthcare across the board. So we would benefit a great deal from everyone having that $1,000 test done and then knowing for sure, hey, we could, like,
Eat this, don't eat that.
the problem is the upfront cost, 36 million people getting a $1,000 test.
The same way you have to pay more for your insurance if you're a smoker.
Yeah.
You would pay more for your insurance if you have an inherent condition that you don't even know about.
Yeah, but Kamar's point, like this guy's point, and this is an important one, is like they can preemptively know that you're like high risk for diabetes and then say, well, we're not going to cover you for diabetes. When the whole idea of insurance is if I get sick, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if you insured your car and then you got in an accident and they were like, oh, well, no, because we think you were going to get in an accident, so we weren't insuring against that, you'd be pretty bummed out. You'd be like, what am I insuring for then?
Yeah, no, the whole idea is that they charge you more to get insured
Yeah.
because you fall into categories that would lead
Higher
them
risk,
to believe
yeah.
that you were going to end up with diabetes.
I mean, Kamar, here's a weird one. So Mary's sister Maudie, she had MS or has MS, and she was in her 20s, and she was like waking up and couldn't feel her legs, couldn't use her legs. It was like it was getting bad. There was a doctor, coincidentally, in Ottawa. She was living in Vancouver at the time. There was a doctor in Ottawa who had this like breakthrough MS treatment that he was trialing in Ottawa. And she went and met with him, and he was like, you're the perfect candidate. And then she moved back to Ottawa, which is what brought us back. And this guy gave her chemo and stem cells, and she didn't pay $1. She got a full treatment, and she has MS in remission. So to give you an example, like I can't imagine how much that would have cost her in the States. Here, she flew home on her own dime, went and saw this guy, got chemo and stem cells, and now doesn't have, well, what he says is you can't get rid of MS, but hers is in remission. She hasn't felt any of the symptoms since.
And he's just a Canadian doctor.
Yeah, but it also brings up like, why haven't we heard about this? Why isn't...
I think you're lying. No, I know you're not lying, but yeah, 100%. Like I'm thinking there's some clinics around town. Could I go to them and ask them, look at this website. Do you know could you put these tests together?
No,
There must be.
I don't think so.
There's private
No, you'd have-
physiotherapy clinics.
You'd have to go to like your GP and get them to give you requisites to all the different, like example, I had to go get like a ultrasound and an x-ray on my shoulder. I can't just show up at the ultrasound clinic. I have to make an appointment. I have to have a referral from my doctor. They definitely won't take you without that. So you'd have to go to your doctor, get them to refer you to all these different places because one doesn't exist here.
Well, no, hold
Like
on.
there where they're doing this test.
But it could end up that tally be $1,200, and I think that's a worthwhile investment.
Well, that's on you then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what you're talking about, some clinic like that where you can just go get this, extensive blood test done, that might exist. Not definitely in Toronto, that exists. Probably Vancouver, maybe Ottawa.
I think you'd be surprised.
But what Simon's saying is correct. Because it's a taxpayer fund, you can't just be like, I think your doctor has to say you need this, and then you will go get it for free. Like
That
the MR.
sounds insane, though.
And I don't even necessarily know if there are places you can pay for this because our system is so weird with this equality for all.
Well, it's not. It's called a triage system. It's not equality for all.
Well, but that's what it is. They don't want somebody with more money to be able to get better care than somebody with less money. It's equality for all.
No, because there's nothing stopping you from going outside of this country.
If you want it done in this country,
Okay, but if your point is that if you're rich, you have nowhere to go. If you're rich, you can go anywhere, just not in this country.
okay, sure.
And if you're poor, you don't have the choice anyway, right? Mm-hmm. I know it's like I'm not happy about the way it is, but
Means
I'm just
you
saying.
have to go to like Panama to get procedures that should for the same work they could do here.
Well, no, because you could go to the States to have it done. Why would you have to go to Panama? The things you have to go to Panama for, they won't do in the States either, right?
Right. Yeah. But again, you go to the States and you have to pay so much money. That's
Either way, the point of this, he was on because they were going to ban some peptide, which clearly has no. The only problem with this peptide is that it would stop you from taking pharmaceuticals that these companies make billions off of.
Yeah, they're
And this-
banning the peptide to corner the market.
And this should be a huge red flag for all of us that like we are literally bought and sold by massive pharmaceutical companies that
Money
don't give a
and
but
fucking
this doesn't
shit
need
about
to
us.
be the red flag. The red flag's been out there for a long time. That's what I'm saying. That like,
Hold on.
who cares?
Because you could get ahead of this one. Like the point is, if this guy comes on Joe early enough, Americans, not us, it's useless for us. We have no fucking, but Americans can go to their congressperson and say, hey, why is this peptide being banned? And if enough of them do it, maybe, Simon, I realize it's a pipe dream, but I'm just saying in a perfect world, in a democratic society, the idea would be this guy goes on, says his piece, the voters go out and speak, and it gets,
Yeah,
I was
that
also
would be a
thinking while
perfect
listening
world.
to this, what if one of these guys runs for Congress? Like if they feel this passionately about it.
You mean like an RFK?
I don't know if RFK is. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and you see, they can't do anything. The
Well,
whole
no.
system is
He's
totally
running. He's
rigged.
running for president. I think if he just ran for congressman, he might have a more realistic chance. He told the two stories about Bayer that they killed 150 women in the 40s.
God, that was dark.
And like
Fuck, that was
send
dark.
another 140. It happens. Imagine those scientists. They must be Nazis.
Listen, I think. Well, first of all, they definitely were
Yeah, we-
Nazis. When you hear, you know how we say over in Von Braun, it was like a total of like 380 scientists. It was some ungodly number of people. They were just building out the systems in America. Like there were only so many heads of departments that you needed. Like 300? No.
But they must have been more advanced because Germany had less regulation on where you could go.
Yeah, and they were doing, I don't even know if it had to do with regulation. They were advanced in a lot of that stuff. And
Then he gave another example about how Bayer decided to sell HIV-tainted drugs to Africa, which is cold lotion.
well, but you know what's crazy is, I don't know if you, I know I've talked about this before, but that show, The Nick,
Okay.
did either of you watch it?
No.
That's when
it's an
science in the 1880s or
old timey
whatever.
doctor back in New York City, and he's like addicted to coke that he is giving himself. And then at the end,
That's how usually
they come out with this new drug, and they're showing you, they're like panning it, and it's heroin by Bayer, you
Yeah.
know, and it's just
Yeah.
that's the last scene of the first season or whatever.
Then, of course, everyone goes, why is the media not covering this?
Well, you know why.
Of course you know why.
I know it just feels this conversation just feels redundant at this point. That was what I meant. You know what I mean? Like we've had it a zillion times. It's always the same thing. He brought nothing new to the table, which is your whole fucking thing.
What he did is defended AI and said eventually you're going to have a full doctor in your pocket.
Yeah, but it'll be sponsored by Bayer.
Well, that was Joe's pushback was biases, but
That's right. The operating system is run by the government. Like
maybe it won't be able to
Like
control every
Chat GPT
advice.
is the perfect example, right? You buy the generic Chat GPT, you don't know any better. You don't know about asking grandma and all of these boycotts or bypasses, rather. You ask it a question and it is biased by the maker. That maker is subsidized by the government and you get the answer that they want you to get. And even if there's 10% of the people out there who have figured out the workaround, most people are just so happy to have a program that's going to do their work for them. They're not even interested in, you know what I mean? It's just another way to be fooled.
But with the detriment, there's, an accidental positive.
I guess, Matt. Listen, don't let me get you down, Kamar. You seemed real hyped on this insurance guy.
Well, no, I was disappointed at first. I was like, why is this guy fighting for peptides? Does he sell peptides? But then he said that he had a thing going and he had to lay off 150 people. So it's now become a personal vendetta for him, which gives me good feeling about his intent.
Listen, he was also telling us that, like, not that we didn't know, but like you were saying, like, all these companies are in bed with the government, and that the Justice Department works for these major corporations to take down any sort of player in the game who could hurt their bottom line. And that's not how the U.S. system was built. Like, it's not supposed to be that way. The government isn't supposed to do the bidding of massive corporations. It's not supposed to. If you have $1 billion corporation, Simon, you're not supposed to have a direct line to the Department of Justice to be like, can you go after this guy? That's
Yeah,
mob
you're also
shit.
supposed to pay the most in taxes, not the least.
Yeah, that too.
A company like Amazon, Kamar, instead they get more tax break. You pay more. You on your whatever $38,000 a year. No offense, I didn't mean you.
I make way less.
Whatever, whoever on their 50 grand a year. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You pay more in tax than Amazon does as a multi-billion-dollar company.
Well, and I mean, in free market capitalism, like everything we just said about Bayer, they should be out of business.
100%. The people should have demanded them out of business. But that just goes to show you, Matt, like you can sell tainted blood to Africans, but as long as you're making Tylenol or aspirin or dick pills that the American people need, they conveniently forget that you're a mass murderer.
But it goes back to what Kamar was saying last week. You know, Kamar was outraged at, and again, this is egregious, but those two people that sued Giuliani and got all that money. The problem is like, if you see a settlement where Bayer has to pay $100 billion, a guy like Kamar would be like, $100 billion, that's too much. But the idea is, no, you're putting them out of business. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Like the Sacklers, like we fined them $6 billion.
Yeah.
They made 28.
Yeah, no
so
good.
Not enough.
It has to be an Alex Jones type situation where you can never pay back the money that you're fined, and hence you can't get back in
Since
the game.
they did way
Well, any
worse
money
harm
you
than
make in
Alex
perpetuity
Jones.
is going to go to the people you hurt. That's how it should
so
be.
So then you're not going to run your business anymore because nobody wants to work for somebody else for nothing. You're better off just ending it. 100%. Listen, after you watch Dope Sick,
Yeah.
the Sackler family not only should be in jail, but there should not be a Sackler medical whatever. When
You should also take their names off the buildings.
who's the big one there? Pfizer. When Pfizer comes out with all those documents about how they fucked everybody with the vaccines, Pfizer should no longer be in business. But like I said, when the same company is selling you the dick pill that you really want, it's kind of like this global warming thing on the nice days in wintertime. Like nobody says a goddamn thing because you need your dick hard.
Yeah, but there's a way around that. It's so, like, again, if we're talking about free market capitalism, this is what would happen. They would lose a court case and all their money. And then they would be forced to sell their patents to a new company. So that new company can still make the dick pills. And then the money that they give that company for the dick pill patent, that money goes to the people they hurt for said other thing. That's how it should work.
And if we lived in a system where the big brother was doing the right thing and looking out for its people, that would be the case. But that's not the case. Big brother is there to like make more money off you. You know what I mean? So you have two people fucking you up. You have two dicks up your ass.
Thursday again?
But we only did that on Tuesdays.
Kamar, what else you got?
Then
We've
you
already
just-
passed the 10-minute mark. Simon's angry.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up.
Thank you.
I really think whether Simon or I don't care what Simon says, I still think this is a must listen. I think anyone where you find out that a massive, massive, massive corporation is fucking us. Yeah, it's like the yeah, don't worry.
Pedophile in the laundry room.
I don't know why there's a pedophile here, but yeah, I think you need to hear about it and you should know.
My biggest thing was I want to know what's the issue because our healthcare system is different. Our way we do medicine is different, whatever. How it's the same. We're getting fucked here some other way, but it's not because of insurance.
Let me tell you this, Kamar. The pretty ladies who sell the opioids and the dick pills, they still come and see our doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about trunk.
you know what I'm saying? People are still being influenced by the pharma companies in our medicine.
And doctors want to stick to traditional stuff because it's like,
But it's nowhere close. Like, listen, we joked about the Ozempic ads, but that's like really, if you go to the States, it's crazy how many fucking catheters and this and that, and every second ad is for another drug.
Well,
Like,
it's the same with us now. We just don't know what the drugs do. You have to look them up.
No,
but they
my-
still take up the video time.
my point was,
the
though,
airtime.
you couldn't name another one other than Ozempic that's out right now that they're trying to push you.
Revitimier. There's a whole bunch that I see all the time, dude.
I haven't seen Revitimier. I've only seen a million Ozempic commercials.
he brought up the red light that they use Dana White
The
as example.
district?
No, the red light
That's
therapy.
my favorite red light.
I'm buying one.
And they're talking about how
Red light district?
Yeah.
the light penetrates into your cells and gets them renew. Also, if you don't get as much light, you have increases more
Creates
melatonin,
testosterone.
creates more melatonin, which decreases testosterone, which
Well,
may,
that's why people get depressed in the.
but maybe that's why we have that difference between Canadians and Americans. And Canadians feel similar to the top of America, but the closer you get to a place where it's always sunny, they're wilding out. Like,
I mean, we've said that all the time, though, right? Without winter, you just.
if we all get red light, maybe we'll get more aggressive, want to brag about our accomplishments, and just be more American.
Can you imagine, though, just living 365 days without a shit cold day?
California.
I would love it.
It would be like
good to
a
be
gift,
true.
a gift from the gods.
And you'd be depressed that you realize you were suffering.
Like, I
your whole
often
life
wonder
not in
why
that.
my stupid parents decided to put down roots in the coldest
Yeah.
place in the world, you know?
Yeah.
They were hiring.
Yeah, pretty much. It was better than Quebec. That was pretty much like.
He was talking about, again, if you can imagine something, I don't know if you want to live forever, but there are genetically species related to us genetically that live hundreds of years.
Greenland shark, yeah.
and
Shrews
tortoises
and stuff, yeah.
And so it really is okay. We've just got to, and we have the DNA in it, like what to unlock that. Which I don't know if you want to live longer. That sounds really exciting, and it may become accessible to all. Just a quick test, because it was like he was doom and gloom, and Joe kept going, "Oh,
And really wouldn't surprise me, and I'm not being facetious here. I'm not talking about like the King's List with the Egyptians living, 300, 5,000 years, whatever it is, which maybe is a possibility. But, it could be as simple as like in the 1800s, people lived a lot longer before the invention of fill in the blank. And since that happened, we've become an 80-year human life cycle because of phthalates or because of using gasoline, or who fucking knows, right? Like this one thing that just stunts life by God knows how long. That really wouldn't surprise me, considering how much shit we have, like just look at the plastics. Like you ingest that much plastic a year, and they used to ingest zero plastic a year.
Yeah, but if you
but they live shorter."
but if you think about evolution,
Did they?
We don't know.
yeah, but from an evolutionary standpoint, the generation after ours would be like almost immune to the plastic.
Or we just use so much plastic that we make ourselves into plastic,
Then we could live forever.
or we die right away.
One or the other.
And tie it all together. Well, the last point he said is that stem cells are allowed, but it's just only certain stem
Yeah, the
cells
specific, yeah.
insurance covers. So it's just once again,
Like you can get
money
stem
getting-
cells here, it's just way too expensive.
or it may not be the stem cells you
Well, think about
could
it like
benefit from.
Simon. Think about it like weed. Like when it was just medicinal, they had like the one weed you could get from the government, and it probably wasn't that great. Or you could go see Jerry down the street. He had fire, that boombastic, that Crondon,
Yeah.
and the government's like, no, we don't pay for Jerry's.
Yeah, you got to go like hang out at some dude's house, and then he finally brings out the stem
That's right.
cells for you
Yeah.
after listening to records
Yeah.
for 4 hours.
This is hitting pretty close to home.
Yeah, I thought this was very interesting, and once again, I want to see how the difficulties apply to us. My only criticism is he was way too technical.
Yeah, that's a problem.
When he
for you,
starts
huh?
just talking about stuff, is like, I'm sure what you're talking about is important, but your passion is above my understanding of what you're talking about. I give it a 3.
I think in closing too, it sucks. Like, I think we're at a point in the world where I know this sounds odd because there is enough money, but there just isn't enough money. And what I mean by that is like either all the money is sitting in that 1%'s hands. Like what this guy's talking about would cost the average Joe how much money in a year? Like to truly take care of your health.
This is what I'm saying. I think everything that they're forcing you to do is per year. This is possibly one time make a monumental change in your health's life.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
life
but
of your
but
health,
even then,
whatever I'm saying.
then you take Gary Brecka and you got to take all these. Like we've had a million people on that are like, there's 8 different supplements that you have to take every day that cost X amount of money. Like it's not.
If you took 1% of the military budget in the United States a year, you could run this test easily on the entire population and give everybody what they need
Sure.
to survive from that. Like, come on.
I also I think it's not that like that. I think there's a couple of tests that you could look at and they will never change. This is just what your body would do the best if you do this.
And if it really is a case, if we are really like this fuck that the government is totally tied up with the pharma and they are only making drugs to
keep you in the
to
system.
prolong you for making money for them, like there's no way, right? You're never going to get this done.
Well, I mean,
It will never be legalized. It'll
Listen.
never be allowed to, it just won't.
Kamar, if they made that if they gave everyone in America that test and it came back and was like 98% of you need to stop eating sugar tomorrow, that'd be a big fucking problem for a lot of companies.
You know who I think is the biggest of the bigs?
Inflation,
Big sugar.
Yeah.
Well,
Inflammation.
and when you look at like the way Canada has handled cigarettes and liquor, you
Yeah,
put
we would-
these massive
we would tax the
taxes on
shit
them.
out of it.
You would tax all the things that are bad for you, period. It wouldn't matter what they were because the government wants to save as much money as possible, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to keep everybody healthy by spending the least amount of money possible.
Yeah, but the concern too is that you don't want to become like communist China, where it's like everyone must eat their health gruel every day, and if you don't eat your health gruel, it will cost the government. You know what I mean? And that's not kind of the world you want to live in. You want to be able to have a burger when you want to have a burger. I don't know.
Yeah, and you just pay an awful amount of tax on that. The same way that you're allowed to smoke, Matt. I'm allowed to smoke. We're going to pay, 72% tax
But
on
do,
it.
do you notice if you watch movies from 20 years ago how everyone's smoking?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the best.
It's really wild. Which means to me that the cigarette companies here $2 million.
Yeah.
Give us 3 minutes of smoking in your movie.
Yeah, for
or,
sure.
or whatever it is. Maybe more than that.
I also should say in closing, you remember Prometheus?
Yeah.
So do you remember when she gets hurt and she crawls into that like pod?
Okay.
And that pod immediately it gives her a full MRI X-ray. It's like, this is the problem. And then it starts giving her surgery. Like, I know we're not that close to that, but we're closer to that than we are farther away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a chance that with AI, everyone has some pod. Because like, I'm sure you saw the video a few years ago, that doctor operating remotely on the grape.
Yep.
So he's like in India, and there's nothing to say that AI couldn't do that.
I know, but that just ruins the whole. If nobody needs drugs anymore.
No, but I mean, again, listen.
Well, look at the newspaper industry. It's getting ruined.
Those
Stuff gets,
Yeah.
institutions fall.
No, I guess. Okay, sure. Not ones that are giant money
To
makers.
be optimists.
Well, no, I mean, Simon, listen, I know that we live in a different world now, but in 1908, do you know what the biggest industry in the world was? Or like 1898?
Buffalo
Probably like
pelts or something.
horse something.
Whaling. You know what I mean? So overnight, whaling disappears and we just move on to the next thing. Like, there's nothing to say that I'm with you. Pfizer would be like, we can't stop selling drugs, but Pfizer could also then just say, we sell the beds now. So this your bed that gives you surgery in the morning if you have like a kidney
I
stone.
know, but the same could be saying for like the gasoline companies. You could just become electric car company, but nobody wants to do that,
Yeah, but Simon, you're forgetting. They just find a model. Like, here's a good one. You don't buy the bed. You rent the bed from us. So you pay $100 a month for that bed in perpetuity. So we have everyone in America, 360 million people paying us $100 a month. There's a cost benefit average, right? Like Pfizer could say on average, every American gives us $100 a month for dick pills or diabetes pills or whatever. They just equal that out and go, okay, the bed now costs whatever that, I'm just saying there's a possibility that could happen.
The system's going to break in our lifetime. That's my hope.
Yeah, I think you are much more likely to see the system break in like a violent way than break in like all of a sudden we're going to do business differently. You know what I'm saying? Nobody does business different freely. They're forced into it, usually by violence or by
Or the technology.
But even then,
obliteration.
okay, forget it. Like let's do this the ultimate fucking American way. Okay, Pfizer's like, we'll give you the bed, you get to keep it in your house, but anytime you step foot in it, it's like $150. That's more likely the outcome. Like
Subscription bed?
yeah, no, but add-ons as well. Like, oh, you want surgery? Well, that's an extra $500. Like, nothing is fucking free, dude. The other day I was playing Call of Duty, and my buddy was like, "I bought the Hans Zimmer pack," and I said, "What outfit is that? Like, you want to play as Hans Zimmer?"
It's music.
Yeah, and I said, "Wait a minute, you just paid for music in your game? Like now they're now at the point where they're
Just
like,
put on Hans Zimmer in your fucking headphones.
no, but
That's
Simon,
what I just thought of.
how crazy is it that like
How much did he pay for it?
How crazy is it that you used to get a game that came with music and characters and everything like ready to go, and now they're like,
Curate.
Here's a white box. Oh, you wanted music with that? Well, that's $10. Oh, you want to play as a character? Oh, that's 50.
Yeah, it's
But
like
it's
when,
your choice.
It's
Yeah.
like when you go to one of those steakhouses and the steak is like $75 and you're like, okay, fine, but it's going to be the best steak I ever had. And
it's
then
gonna
you
come
have
with
to
some nice
order
sides.
all the sides
Yeah.
separately.
And they're
Yeah.
$12 a piece
Yeah.
for like 4 pieces of broccoli.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have to notice that, you're not supposed to be in those restaurants.
Yeah, it's true. That's right. You have to ask the price.
Did you guys rate this one? I gave it a 3.
3.5.
I'll give it a 3 as well. Look, I didn't
Turned
like
around,
it, but I
come
can.
around, Sally.
No, I personally hated it, but I could see the merits for some
That's
people.
big of
But
you.
I hated it.
Okay. Important distinction.
2078, John Reeves.
The boner
Last one of the year,
Oh,
boys.
for now and the rest of time.
Comes in on
That's
his
what
big
he
horse,
said. This is forever the last episode
Yeah.
of the year.
celebrating bones in the East River. And then he mentions that, well, those bones are worthless, which would have come in handy when he told people go look for these bones because,
Why are they worthless?
well, he seems to think they're worthless.
Well, he thinks they're
He
worthless
thinks
because he's swimming
Those are
in
the
them.
ones they threw out, the museum threw out, and they're holding on to the valuable ones. Again, let's go back to this guy bought a company to find gold,
Yeah.
and all it has is bones. So he might be a bit pissed off because he really wants to find gold.
No, I like that.
So
I
he's
like
gotta
that
make
angle.
him some sort of like it. Just as we discussed, as we got into, you've got all these bones. You've got millions of bones already. What about the? Well, those were my bones.
Yeah.
I really think he's creating a victim complex.
No, I like your angle though. I like that he's been duped out of this land. Like some gold prospector showed up and was like, "There's gold in these hills," and then he bought
There's
the land.
treasure in these hills.
Yeah.
That's what they told him.
And then he buys the land and he's stuck with a bunch of fucking dinosaur bones. And even a museum doesn't want them. They're dumping them in the river.
He said
These bones are shit.
That's how worthless they are.
Yeah.
they're just taking up space. A miner is a liar standing beside a hole. He sort of showed his cards to Joe. Joe is surprised that no one cares about this, but really,
I'm also surprised that nobody cares about this.
you think in these bones lies the.
Well, listen, Joe, I don't know why he kept saying, well, we have to find a human in there. This guy told him that he found a human in there and he just can't say it because they'll come and they'll take it away. He found a man. He said it. It was 10 feet away from the skull of a mammoth.
Yeah.
So if it turns out that there's a Homo sapien living when he wasn't supposed to be living, who knows? You know, those are all interesting things you could find.
So that's what he says. He wants to prove that the humans and these prehistoric beasts cohabitated the planet.
Is that what he wants to prove?
Well, that's what he says, but he just wants people to care about these bones because there's no gold in them hills.
Well, no, I mean, but like they were talking about a mammoth bone. It sells for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get the head of one of these wolves. It's $1 million. Trust me, he can make a shit ton of money off these bones.
Can he?
Yes, 100%.
I don't
he
think
can.
he can.
Kamar, I'm telling you, go on eBay, go anywhere right now and try and buy a mammoth tusk.
Kamar.
See how much it costs you. Go
Kamar.
right now.
You go to the auction, it's this guy with a mustache on, like 2 million. His wife's over there, 4 million.
No,
Well, you
I'm
seem to
telling
think there's
you.
a huge demand.
There absolutely is. Nicolas Cage for like the skull of a Tyrannosaurus Rex paid like millions of dollars. People want that shit.
Well, then he should just be selling it.
He's trying to get in touch with Nick
No,
Cage.
no, but
That's why he's
he
on
says
Joe Rogan.
The reason I need to get the bones back so I can make the money to test the bones. It's right out of Boogie Nights.
He seems like Pepe Sylvia. Yeah, he's attached. Once I get the bones.
We need the mixtape to get to the record company. To get the record, you have to pay for the recording. You're like,
Yeah,
what don't you
There's an
understand?
Asian throwing
I really
firecrackers in the
didn't get it.
background.
He's pulling out like they just pulled out a full mammoth skeleton. He's pulling out hundreds of bones a day. He said, I built the facility, millions of dollars for them to do the research. Now I'm just waiting for them to just do the research on the bones you have.
Again, we keep coming around to this thing.
What's so special about the bones that they have?
I don't know. I do not know, but I do know this guy was looking for gold. It's just that
It seems like, hold on. It seems like his temperament might be a slight problem. We touched on this at the very beginning of the episode. Like, it feels like at some point, I'm just taking a guess. It feels like at some point, someone who was in the know probably showed up and was like, hey, I work for X company or not even company. Like, I'm a geologist or whatever, and I'd like to inspect. And he was probably like, get the fuck off my land. Like, he seems a little prickly, just a little.
100%. If you bought a house and then you get the keys, and you say, yeah, there used to be a clawfoot tub in the basement, but my cousin took it. Do you go to the cousin? Hey, that was once
yeah.
this house. I land and whatever. It's different, but I just feel like they got those bones, buddy. I mean, I'm sorry that it's.
Well, no, I mean, I get that they still stole the bones. Like, the government can't just do whatever the fuck they want. That's
Well, it was a museum. It
bullshit,
wasn't
you
the
know?
government, right? I
Well,
thought
it is the government.
Okay.
It's the National Museum of whatever.
I don't know if it's government run.
It's government run. 100%. The same way the Smithsonian is government run.
Simon, Kamar, I love the thought too that there's probably some Russian guy somewhere who's like, actually, that was my land originally. You know what I mean? Like,
you can
it's
play
my
that game,
grandfather
too.
Igor's land, and he said the bones.
Yeah, they're waiting for the bones to come back
so, yeah.
here.
Now he's established that he's got trust with Joe. That he's working, and he tries to tell him that speed of thought is faster than speed of light.
Oh, that was so deep.
Joe cuts him off and goes into the universes upon universes and how the neural network looks the same as a cosmic network.
Joe is really stuck on this whole the whole idea of humans was just for us to create AI.
I buy into it.
Okay, yeah,
Well, I
well,
mean,
sure.
it sort of romanticizes why everything doesn't make sense, but it's just hurtling towards this point. You're not supposed to understand why it works. Then John came back with the idea that the aliens had to come in and eradicate the dinosaurs before they could start their program to build a civilization that goes through these. But it'd be weird that they even figure out. So they'll go through the Egyptian age, then something we'll have to wash that out, and then we can get them to them. I see how that doesn't make sense.
Or maybe it's like, so they're starting their little experiment. And the lizards, the way it happened for us, forget the dinosaurs for a second, okay? The fish comes out of the ocean, it becomes the lizard, it becomes the shrew becomes the monkey becomes us. Maybe with the dinosaurs, it was like they came out of the ocean the same way. They become a lizard, and then that lizard becomes the dominant creature on the planet. And they're like, whoa. There's like 100,000 steps to go here. And like you said, they just wiped them out. It didn't work.
Or they didn't wipe them out. They had to, once they got to a big enough, they had to make them so that they slowly ooze into fossil fuels. So when they come around again, they can use those fossil fuels to almost kill the planet, but create AI. Because that's what we always forget about that, right?
That's so interesting.
All the gas is supposed to be old dinosaurs.
The same way we're here to become AI or to build AI, the dinosaurs were mandatory because they had to become the fuel we need to be able to build the plastic, to build the computer,
It's pretty simple,
to become AI.
Egon, once you look at it.
I mean, that's reeks of simulation to me, but whatever.
Well, and that just brings me back to, if you have the power to build this simulation, you can't just make the fossil fuels.
No, you did. It's a fun workaround.
No, I'm saying though, like fossil fuels are what we use because it's here on the planet. It is not the best way to do it. You know what I mean?
No, it's a step though. Like fossil fuel, we don't know where it goes to, but fossil fuels get us to X, right?
To solar.
No,
Which
to
is
whatever.
weird.
No, because it'll be something else, to fission. You know what I mean? Because gasoline will be the precursor to
I
like.
don't understand why we haven't gone.
But
further with
again,
magnets.
maybe the same way as the dinosaurs got stuck as being the biggest lizard, we got stuck on fossil fuels, and we also need to be eradicated.
Maybe. What do you mean not magnets? They use magnets. Like in Japan, the whole light rail system is all magnets.
But everywhere you use magnets, especially when I see magnets can make. If they put it the right way, they'll make something spin.
Well, that's also with dry ice. They got to freeze it.
There are lots of places on the planet that do things differently than we do.
But that just
North
seems like
America.
the most renewable energy.
Like, what were we talking about last week? France and their nuclear power.
Energy, yeah.
Like, we've just decided willy-nilly that that's not how we do things here.
The bidet.
The bidet, another perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck are we sticking our hands up our asses over here?
Yeah.
Like, what did I find out today? This is crazy.
Big toilet paper?
Hold on, because this totally, just hold on. This was one of my facts for the day, but this totally comes into play.
No, but the bidet is eye-opening because if you grow up without it, you're like, yeah, I just wipe my ass with coarse paper every time I'm done shitting.
But if
And you're like, that does the job. I don't look, I don't ensure. But then when you use a bidet, because you're like, what, am I going to wash my ass with a hose every time I shit? That seems crazy. But then you do it and you're like, this is a much superior system.
well, what does a person think who lives without toilet paper or a toilet
True.
when they get
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
toilet?
So, what
Here.
is this? Yeah.
Average American toilets clog far more than European ones by
course.
design choice, and that's why they're always talking about plungers.
So that's big
So
plumber.
it's big plunger.
Big plumbing. It's just another way they're keeping us down.
Every single time.
I do have a question though, bidet users, if there are any listening. What is the drying protocol?
They have a dryer in the thing.
No, that's the tushy. Like
No. They have. Oh, I'm
in the European bidets, it's just like a little toilet beside that like sprays
I think
water
there's a
up your
little
ass.
towel that you pat yourself off with.
So everyone uses the same ass drying towel?
I don't know.
Because I've always wondered this. What is the protocol? Do you just sit there and air dry? Because you can't just wet asshole putting your pants on, are you? That seems crazy.
But wait, I don't even think you sat on the bidets. Didn't
No, you
kinda
hover.
Squat.
Yeah.
over them?
You just squat. But my point is still, it's
And
shooting.
that seems barbaric too. The squatting, like they can't even give you a seat. I like the toilet that has the thing built in.
Yeah.
And that's not just the tushy. Those are like any new toilet.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure now when you go to Europe, there isn't a bidet and it's just all in one.
When I was in Thailand, the hotel we stayed at had what you're talking about, like the hot air to dry your ass. But I thought that was a luxury because when I went to another bidet, like I went to a toilet in Thailand where they just had, the sink hose that you get, like the sprayer.
Yeah.
Like the 80s one. That
Yeah.
they just had that beside the toilet. And you were just supposed to like spray your ass into the toilet.
Seems
But again, I was like, what is the drying method here? Like,
sweatpants. I mean, it's so humid there.
I mean,
I
anyway.
guess,
listen,
you
if
just
you're-
have
if
a
you're-
mud butt no matter what.
If you're fucking rinsing your ass with a garden hose, I just don't think you're overly concerned with the
It's true.
drying process.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
Sorry, we got bidet sidetracked.
War is a racket. They played that.
Schmedley
He
Butler.
read that quote.
Schmedley Butler, the most made up name ever.
Then John.
What's your name? Schmedley.
Yeah.
Then John talked about how he's way ahead of everyone because he's got the permafrost frozen tunnel, which you have to have. Everyone knows you have to have that if you're going to be the leader in this game. Well, we'll talk about that later. But all I know, and this just didn't come out right, is some of my DNA's in that tunnel.
So does
So
that
if-
mean he jerked off in
Yeah,
the
that's-
tunnel?
That's all I heard.
He's like, Joe, I just want you to know my DNA is all over
Yeah.
my
There's
land.
cumsicles all over the place, and when
That's
I
why they-
pass,
I
That's why
brought
they-
you this bone. It's full of my DNA.
That's why the museum threw the bones out. They're like, it's covered in this guy's
these are
DNA.
bones.
Yeah.
This is just cum.
This is semen.
This is fossilized semen.
But he thinks a generation from now will go into his tunnel, grab some of his DNA, and recreate him because he's such a good guy.
It's odd too. Like if money's an issue, this guy seems like he could just set up an attraction. Like you want to come dig up a. Like, dude, that's actually a brilliant idea. Instead of you taking the time and hiring someone to hose out all those bones, you just make it a tourist attraction. You want to come hose out some bones?
It's the two of them, Matt. Him and Ethan. Those are the only two who are doing any hosing.
I know, but this is what I'm saying though. Is you can now get people, and you can say, listen, you get to leave.
To do it pays for the.
Listen,
test.
I don't think it's a money issue. The guy built the $1 million facility.
I get it.
No, he says it's a money issue.
He's a gold
He
prospector.
says every test is $400. I don't feel like
What's this guy's name?
John Reeves.
John Reeves. Okay, let's see how much he's
No,
worth.
Kamar, I like my idea. I think it's brilliant. And any bones that you can sell to them. Hey, you blasted this bone out. We're going to encase it.
Yeah, it's like, you know how you can get for the kids, it's like a dino dig.
Yeah.
And it comes with a little block and
This
they
is what I'm
chip out
saying.
you just do a real one of
Yeah.
those. Yeah. For adults.
Yeah.
And if you find something cool, you can buy it. You don't get to just
This is exactly what I'm saying.
What was his name, commercial?
John Reeves.
John Reeves, thanks.
He brought up that cloning exists,
Yeah.
and that's a quiet thing that like their examples are dogs and stuff, but knowing human beings, there's no way they said, yeah, I mean, I wonder if we could clone people, but that just would not be a good idea, so we won't do that.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say definitively I think it's crazy the idea that they would have. I'm with you. They cloned a sheep and they just stopped. I'm with you. I'm with you. I think the only difference is like if you clone a cat, like let's say I clone Chico, okay? God forbid something happens. I clone him. I have a replica, what I believe is a replica of Chico. It looks like him. It probably barks like him. It might have some of the same mannerisms, but because there's no like
Memory?
no, but like more like speech. Like if I could, like you and I can sit here and talk, and you have all the life experiences of Kamar because you lived your life. If you died tomorrow and someone came in with a clone of you, I can't guarantee that it would. I could say it looks exactly like Kamar, like it's all there. But then I could talk to you and be like, well, that's not Kamar.
As far as we know what we think we know.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I know that you think that the Jamie Foxx walking around right now is not Jamie Foxx. I get
suspicions.
If we know that they did clone Dolly back in whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the only sector on the face of the earth ever
That just stopped
stopped
innovation.
immediately.
Oh, no, except for traveling to the moon.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. Well, I guess maybe it's the same thing. There just wasn't enough civilian interest in.
I'm
the,
surprised why they didn't
cloning.
use that examples when the guys were talking about AI as examples of when technology sort of cuts itself off because it doesn't want to do the wrong thing.
I mean, it's not. We don't know. Like, listen, the company that did that, they might have then been like, what is the app? Like, they now, like your brother, for example, I know he wants to clone his cat, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like 20 grand or 25 grand, whatever the fuck it is. Like, those guys could have just been like, not to say they stopped, but they were like, we just wanted to clone animals so that you could have your best friend back or something like that. And then, like, I'm not saying that they might have stopped there, but then who knows what the government
Someone.
does.
It's
Yes.
it's a
kept
religious thing, right? And that's how it got stopped at. It's like stem cells. Once the religion gets involved and claims it's like an affront to God, then that puts the kibosh on it. No, for sure.
But we
Look
just
at the
found out
things that have
stem
been
cells
stopped.
is not religion; it's insurance.
No, but it is also
Insurance.
religion. Like the Catholics don't like it at all. I don't know why, but so John Reeves is worth $5 million, but that's not. They're not putting any value on his bones. That's just money he's made from gold mining.
Yeah, well, they can't
Did you
put
know
value in his
he
bones.
was on a reality show called Goldfathers?
I've seen it. I didn't.
You
know,
have,
I didn't
yeah.
know he was on that episode. Or
Not an episode, seasons.
no, I didn't see it.
He got thrown off because he wasn't mining gold
I
ever.
know of those.
Yeah, he
shows.
just kept
He
finding
just kept
bones.
finding bones. Yeah.
It's like jerk off.
Yeah, so cloning exists. Then Joe says something about how he doesn't have a bone,
Well, you do now.
and John goes,
I'm going to rectify
We're
that.
going to take care of that shit. like he was gonna, the world was gonna go.
I know. He acted like a mob boss, like someone was fucking with Joe and he was going to go take care of it.
And when you're gonna take care of shit,
Yeah.
you don't show up with the 200-year-old bone. You show up with the mammoth. Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here? Joe wants a fucking thing for his studio, not a pen holder for the desk.
Yeah. Piece them together a little fucking.
Give him one of the cats.
Yeah.
The saber-toothed tiger.
The saber-toothed
still. He has
tigers.
one
Yeah.
already.
Well, let's rectify that shit.
We want to take care of that shit right now. He was so-
Joe didn't even know what he was talking about.
no one knew what he was talking about because he must have said, when I go down there,
Oh, fuck.
I'm going to donate his bone. And right before I said, I'm going to take care of that shit,
I'm going to aggressively remind Joe.
he intermittently kept showing his true colors. But again, when questioned, you have so many bones. Why do you want the back? And I just want to study them. That at the end of the day, he just wants to study them. And what could be wrong with that? Dennis Sauvin is not a person. That's a
Dennis Oven?
No,
Dennis
I like the
Sauvin.
way he said it, like
Yeah.
a person. Dennis Sauvin. Denis Sauvin.
And I mean, he was able to describe it. They said they had a small piece of pinky bone, and from that, they create the whole person. That's got to be.
Well,
the
they
algorithm.
found jawbone too, so.
He's like,
Ooh,
there's a
left
little
that
bit of
part
my
out.
DNA in that too.
Every time they recreate it, it looks like him.
It's true, yeah. They just keep making John Reeves over and over again.
Oh, fuck.
He
It's
kept
so weird that
also.
all the Neanderthals look exactly like John Reeves.
He also kept bleeding into, unrelated right-wing talking points like the pandemic handling, climate change. Had he said something about, medical procedures in minors, I would have turned this thing off and thrown it out because he was just, pushing his agenda. He didn't go that far. But he did say that in one of these, the driest, the sea levels rose 400 meters. Would you believe that happened really fast? That's just wild.
Well, yeah, like they find whale bones in the middle of the fucking America, right? Like in Ohio or something. And you're like, what the fuck? How did this
But Kamar,
happen?
you can't believe that happens
I can. Why not?
because you believe that there's a set amount of water on the earth and that cannot increase or decrease.
Yeah, this is massive melting of
Well, what do you mean you
glaciers.
think that there's a set amount of water on
He's
the
mentioned, we've
we
discussed
have
this.
consensus on this, Simon.
What about when it rains?
That is water evaporating. So what he's
all
saying
comes
is
same
that
place.
it's all
But these were glaciers, massive glaciers, the tops of mountains heating up so fast that it just.
No, he's right. That's water that's already here. It's
yes,
just
no,
an
I
ice
yeah,
form.
yeah. No,
have
but I was
consensus
asking
on
him.
this.
I was asking him to clarify how he.
Well, the other thing was, Al Gore said by now they would have raised 40 meters. 400 meters, obviously, much more drastic, but they haven't raised.
If you go to Miami, that's a different story.
I see a lot of pictures in my feeds of places, shorelines 40 years ago to today that are the exact same, beaches and whatnot. So,
It seems crazy too that so things get hot, the icebergs start moving, right? Like that's what happens. And
Not
they
icebergs,
just,
you mean glaciers?
yeah, glaciers,
Yeah,
whatever.
Well, there's a big
they
difference.
they just slowly push their way, slow across the countryside, leaving behind, America in its wake.
well, something from somewhere else too.
Oh, and things from somewhere else. Yeah, tons of stones and
Well, that's why I've always said when you drive out to British Columbia, from Alberta to British Columbia, well, Saskatchewan's flat. There's nothing there. And then when you get to Alberta, you'll just see giant rocks
Yeah.
in the middle somewhere that can't just
well, even
have
like
decided to
even
start it there.
like up at my cottage in the Laurentians, that's like big glacier.
Yeah, it's all.
And you'll just be walking through the woods, and there is a giant fucking rock, and you're like,
giant
"This
rock.
doesn't make any sense. There's no mountain around here. This didn't fall off of a cliff face. This didn't. This,
giant
this
rock.
was carried by."
Yeah, but what you're not
ice.
seeing, what you're also not seeing, Simon, is it's all bedrock under there. Like it's all part of a massive fucking.
no,
mountain.
no,
Like,
this
No,
is
no,
separate.
these are- yeah.
It's not.
No, I get
it's
it.
sitting on the planet, but
It could have pushed it up as it went.
This is- well, there's a- that's what
kind
I'm-
of like, but this is the point, Matt, is that they'll find stone from like the Grand Canyon in.
Sure.
It did get carried. There's no doubt about that. These icebergs were so big.
By the way, someone wrote in and said the way they find the age of a tree is they bore into it and get like a core sample, and that's how they figure out the age of the tree.
They don't count the rings
That they count the rings using the section they
without
pulled
having to
out.
kill it. You mean?
And someone also sent in that the oldest tree in the world is not in California. It's in like South America somewhere.
No,
a lot of
we
feedback
just
on that
talked
post, Joe,
about
I
it. We
wasn't
just
part
talked
of.
about it the other day. Actually,
I know, and they think it's
in
big.
America.
They think it's big tree lying.
Oh, really?
I mean, Americans would want to claim the oldest tree.
But that makes me think maybe that's how the Egyptians moved all those stones.
Just waiting for the glacier.
With ice,
Yeah.
with giant
Like
icebergs.
giant icebergs.
They're like,
That's
listen, we're
interesting.
gonna
By the
cut,
time we got
we're
a
gonna,
spot, just as it melts.
yeah,
which is still
we're gonna
amazing.
cut these, and then in 50,000 years, they'll be exactly where we need them.
Slow roll like our forefathers.
Yeah, I just gave you this stat last week. Actually,
That's why I'm bringing it up, because someone was calling you out. and said-
Methuselah is
Yeah.
the name of the tree.
Someone said that's bullshit.
And is 4,853 years old, meaning it was well established by the time ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. I mean, that's not true, but that's big tree trying to.
Is that it, Kamar? You're done for the
No,
boneyard?
John Reeves did something very interesting. Maybe the first time in bringing gifts, he brought something for Miss Rogan.
His DNA.
No, it was some amulet that was
Yeah,
250
I'm
years
joking.
old. And I mean, Joe's you know what word I want to try to say, enthusiasm about holding this bone and imagining what it's been through the ages to get to his desk. It is kind of cool. And every time I look at a rock now, I wonder that. Especially a rock that's used for landscaping, say at someone's house.
Yeah.
That started somewhere, and it's the pride of its family because it made it to a backyard as a pool feature.
By the way, when you say enthusiasm, you know the guy in Griswold Vegas Vacation, changing 500. That's who you sound like when you say it. Is it Ron Howard's brother? No, it's the bald guy. Forget it. Who cares? I don't give a fuck.
Lost reference. I think he misspoke. He said, if the tusks aren't broken, we fix them, which makes me think he might be making stuff up.
He's just got a tusk press in his face, 3D printing tusks.
He didn't get into it, but I guess there is some market for some of this ivory that they have. I mean, it's just sitting there doing nothing, and we want to do experiments on the bones. But
There's
thinking
another income. Make piano keys.
that the woolly mammoth's tusks, I don't know if he said more than this, but like 250 pounds each. What that would be like, or how strong, and obviously they just grow into it, but how powerful they would be to have heads. It must be the same with huge caribou that probably have 100 pounds, and those fall off. And what that feeling must be like. Like to have your tusk.
Yeah,
cut
your
off.
neck. Oh, God. Fuck, yeah.
Like it sounds cruel, but it'll be interesting if that company they talked about here do replicate, because I think that's where the cloning conversation was, is the woolly mammoth recreated? Because we have some woolly mammoths. They're obviously made out of wood or whatever on Argyle and
Yeah, the Museum of
Metcalf.
Nature, yeah.
which I think there used to be one in the museum, but it could be a Mandela effect. Or there used to be a bigger one, and they took that down and put those two back.
No, well, they had the mammoth exhibit in there, but
We should go there.
I used to go there once a year just to check it out.
Like, yeah, but that'd be a good, like, what it was in your imagination when you're half as tall as you are. I mean, you've got enough times, but yeah,
The
we should-
building is beautiful in there, too, by the way.
it's like a castle.
What are you looking at, Simon? Bets for tonight? You looking at the 6
No,
o'clock
I
game?
was looking at this. Is what I meant to talk about in my opening. I watched this movie called Predestination. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's with Ethan Hawke.
I think I have seen it.
It's the craziest time travel movie you've ever seen in your life.
Okay, go on.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody because
Okay.
I want you guys both to watch it. But pretty much, there's like, you know what? You
That's enough.
both have to watch it this week.
Okay.
And I suggest everybody listening, the 12 people listening, should all watch it because it's insane.
What's it called again?
It's called Predestination.
Predestination.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on like Netflix or
As
one.
long as it's not on Paramount, I won't give them $1.
Okay. It might have been on Paramount. I don't know.
Boneyard goal is just to get the bones back. I just want the bones back, and it just the lady doth protest too much because we know he has warehouses and warehouses of bones, and he can't explain why those bones are more important than these bones.
He's a man of principle.
I guess so.
It's a man of principle, Kumar.
Oh,
You
prove man and animal live together.
Here's the thing, okay? I don't think it's probably a good thing that the government gets a hold of the bones because we see what happens. They just hide them away in the basement of the Smithsonian or something, or dump them in the river.
You were going to
or
prove to me
whoever.
that it was the government, and you put your phone back down.
What was the government?
The museum that stole his bones.
Oh, it is for sure.
No, you can't just say for sure.
Otherwise, what was I talking about though?
His bones, the museum.
Museum. Oh, right. We don't want the government to get the bones.
Yes.
But it also seems crazy that this one guy and his friend Ethan or son, or I don't even know who Ethan was, just kept mentioning Ethan.
Yeah.
That they are in control of all the bones. Like it also seems wrong. Because this guy, like, you know, has a bad day and nobody ever sees the bones again.
I mean, listen, unlike you, I don't think all the answers to the world lie within this guy's bones.
I don't think they do either.
They probably don't, but it would be cool to know there was like, you know, human man skeleton totally intact the way we are today. And it was...
Look, we already know
Flush
they
it
have.
out, man. You're going to find another one eventually.
We already know they have no interest in rewriting any history books, so they don't want to bother this guy piecing together any bones. No one gives a fuck. Ignorance is bliss. Who
I
gives
mean,
a
they
shit?
slowly are rewriting history in all fairness. Like Denisovans are now talked about freely, or how did he say it?
Denis Sauvin?
Denis Sauvé and Chad GPT.
That was a line in
Don't point at
The
me.
Creator.
Okay, I'll watch it.
This military person's like, Neanderthals existed beside humans for hundreds of years, but we ended up raping
Millions
and
of
killing
years.
them. Well, whatever
Oh,
they
I
said, we ended up raping and killing them because we're smarter. And that was sort of like their reason why we have to get rid of AI.
I love how the smart thing to
'Cause
do
it
is
will
to
rape and kill
I love
us.
how the smart thing to do is
The
rape and
military
kill.
was saying asterisks.
Isn't that interesting? Well, the smart thing to do is rape and kill them.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like,
It's just
doesn't
the
that
human
seem
nature.
doesn't that seem odd?
I mean, the smart thing would be to not buy the cow if the milk is free. Like, come on, Matt. You
Sure.
got to be a fucking idiot.
You would just think that enslaving a people is better than raping and killing them.
Milk
that too probably
is
happened.
free.
Okay.
And Costco selling gold bars, I don't know if that's something to be happy about.
I mean, you can get it in bulk.
You can't because
No,
you can
it's
only
a
buy
two
so
per people.
much.
Nice
You
try.
have to be a member.
Nice try. Yeah, I wonder about his intentions since he has so many bones. I think he's just bitter. He's got no gold.
This guy is just building a house of bones. Am I right?
Yeah.
I give it a 2.5.
Which is cool. Don't get me wrong. The bone house sounds fucking awesome.
And to his credit, he said, "I told you, Joe. I'm not coming here to tell you anything new. I just want my bones back."
No, we put him on the clock, and he was quickly off the clock.
Oh,
he
because
was
the
he might have
bones
been
were found
the
in the
quickest off the clock in JREE history.
Yeah.
In his defense, like we put him on the clock, and it took less than 2 months
For them to find the bones.
for them to
in
find
him.
the bones and him to be off the clock. So
I
that is a
wonder how many
record.
of those guys went to find the bones thinking they were finding a fortune, or finding the bones just to prove it right because they're making content out of it and that'll generate the money. But they might be disappointed because those bones are worthless.
You bring up a good point. That's actually one of the few upsides of the content world we live in is that people can get stuff done.
Just to do it.
Yeah, like, dude, there's that guy that goes around and fixes people's lawns for free.
Yeah, well,
know what I mean? Like-
that's back to my Mr. Beast, Dober, the slow mo guys, or no, Dober, Rober. A couple of those get together and they will find the.
I would be so suspicious if somebody came to my house and was like, "I'll clean your lawn for free."
Most people are.
Be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
and they have no camera.
Oh my god!
Oh, you with YouTube?
If they had no camera, then they're a serial killer for sure.
No.
Oh, you're gonna do this on the YouTube?
Yeah.
The what? Like I said, I give it 2.5.
I can't give it more than a 2. It's just very,
Yeah,
very boring.
Even,
2 is being generous.
Even for a guy who likes this stuff, I didn't enjoy
proud of
this
you, Simon.
episode. 2.5.
All right. That is it. We have wrapped up a year. You're going to get this. This will be your first episode of the year. So I guess I'm doing this kind of bass backwards. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, I guess. That's it.
I said it first.
We want to thank you guys so much for a great year. We want to thank you for listening. Maybe you're willing to go a step further. We do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/JREE podcast. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month.
Oh, I forgot to say parkour is the first topic, but we're also going to do something I stole from another podcast in the spirit of the
Nice.
season.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Rose, thorn, seed. We're each going to go around and choose a rose and a thorn and a seed.
Okay.
I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about.
It
Either
must
way,
be like fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah.
I assume.
No, a rose is something good that happened. A thorn is something bad happening. A seed is what's going to happen. Just in a reflection of the year.
Oh, I hate that so much. We're not doing that. So
there
Tune
you
in
go.
to find out if
Tune
Simon
in to
gets
watch us
overridden.
argue about this. That's it. Thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful new year. We hope you have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. And as usual,
Happy New Year. Come on.
Keep your eyes open.
I said it last. Happy New Year. Keep your eyes open.